get into your physical. It's time to talk some this and more. We gonna talk about it all. DVD, CD, UHD, VHS, books, blu-ray. Who knows, maybe you'll even see a laser disc today. Let's get physical. We wanna talk some physical media. Movies and TV, music and more. Come check out what we have in store. This is a media house dream. It's time for some physical media on FanZcene.
I know it was like really popular because it like won some Oscars and whatever, but
Jimmy does dance.
It's got the Mighty Ducks guy. Got that guy.
No! Yes, but no! He's not the Mighty Ducks guy! It's Emilio Estevez! For the
You can never have enough physical media.
Were there ever truer words ever spoken? That is so true. You're gorgeous. I love you. Yes.
We're back. We're bad. You're black. I'm mad. Wait,
what? Since when? But hold on, I gotta check something.
does Dad know?
Okay, I'm good. Oh, we just got canceled bad. But
That was fun while it lasted.
It was fun while it lasted. Well, hello, fellow fellers. Welcome back to the Physical Media Show here on FanZcene. I guess tonight you're going to put up with just me and Tom. I think Rook flaked on us. He told us last week or me last week that he was supposed to be on here.
He's probably like, I didn't watch any movies. I'm not going to go on there and get the shit kicked out of me.
Yeah, but you never know. We might have some other new people joining us very, very soon. Who knows? We might have somebody on tap. But let's get into the physical media side of things now. Let's say hi to the chat real quick, and we'll get to it. But welcome, Tom.
Yep.
You know, Tom's here as always.
I am.
I mean, you can always count on us at least. What's up, Random Brad? Glad to have you with us. Hello, Style Section. Welcome. Yes, Physical Media Maniacs at F Amazon. Yeah, I might have to create an F Amazon little thing for the channel members because they suck. They're getting suckier by the day. He just sent me a thing where they delivered a package to Mandy Moore's burnt down LA house, parents' house after the fires. It's like, okay. Nice. Yeah, nice. Yes, Ace Hanlon, hello.
No questions at all.
Yeah, no question. They just delivered the house, took the picture.
Just delivered it,
took the picture, sent it to her. It's like,
sure.
Seriously? You're right in front of a burnt down, rubbled house. What's up, Ace Hanlon? Yeah, we'll show you the goods here soon. And we got John the Beagle Dad. Glad to have you with us. And he said he pre-ordered Striped Sturdy Harry. Yep. The Outlaw Josie Wells Steelbooks. That's I got to get those. I got to make sure I get those before they go out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Hey, look, Tom's in the chat.
I am.
What's up, Joey? It's time for the Physical Media DJ King of VHS mixtapes. Yeah, that would be me. Welcome. Hail to you, Brian Barth. Glad to see you with us tonight. Salute to you, Steven from Deleted Scenes. Yes, I think I might have to put an F Amazon in that mix. What's up? Hail to you, Dragonzilla. Glad to have you with us. What's up, Cowabunga Dude? Doba Fett, howdy to you. What is up, Hollowfield? Glad to have you with us this evening or morning, night, whatever time it may be. Rook's always. This is why we're trying to replace him. I'm sorry. It's got to that point. What is up, Tyrell72? Evening to you. What is up, Venobite? Hey, and welcome. Uncle Dave's Movie and Toy Channel. Hello, how are you doing this evening, night, whatever time it may be? What's up, Classy Cannabis, big boy? Glad to have you in the chat. And welcome to everybody out there at home watching as well, too. So let's get into what we got on tap for coming releases, and then we'll get into lots of physical media.
There's a couple things, not a ton.
Mm-hmm.
American Pie, the spin-off series, is coming to Blu-ray from 88 Films, and American Pie 2 is coming to 4K. And I guess American Reunion is coming to Blu-ray again for some reason.
Yeah, why?
Which makes no sense to me because I looked and it does have a film negative. It looks like, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yes.
I saw that earlier.
Let's see here. What else was there? There was I was gonna say I thought we got some Arrow titles, didn't we? Was it Arrow or
I think it was Arrow last
Yeah.
week, right? Last Friday.
was that last week? Yeah.
I think so.
Did we bring those up? I don't think we did.
I'm trying to remember what they were. Because I don't think there were nothing like
Blue Underground's
spectacular.
got the Fu Manchu movies coming to 4K with Christopher Lee. At least 2 of them, I think it is. Yeah, I'm not.
So I was
Gorilla,
looking through
the whole series from Warner Archive. Throne of Blood from Criterion. Yeah, I'm not seeing much else.
I know. I think we've talked about it before, but it got a date. Career Opportunities is coming to 4K.
Yeah.
You know.
Pee Wee's Big Adventure is coming from. I can't remember the name of the company. It's some company I never heard of before.
I thought TerraVision was doing that.
Was it TerraVision? Is that it? Okay. But that had one of their sub labels I'd never heard of. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they have a new.
Or maybe I was thinking
label.
of Freaked. I don't remember, but yeah. Either way, yeah. But I think we mentioned Freaked already, so that one's already been. So I think we're caught up. I think. Thought there was some Arrow titles, but I'm not seeing anything in my feed.
Yeah, that's what I was going through Arrow real quick to see because I thought they announced it. Wasn't it last week that they announced them or the week before?
I don't remember now.
Yeah, there's something like. Oh, here's the April. It's good. I think this is it from April. It was FX and FX2. I think we got
we
these.
already
FX,
mentioned these.
Long Kiss Goodnight. Yeah, we got those. We got those. Yeah. We got those. We got $1.99 super chat. This one's for you, Tom. It says the Batman rocks. Tom has awful taste in comic movies. If you say so, but I hate to tell you.
I reject your hypothesis. End of discussion.
I wish I had a Batman clip I could play for that. Here, I just play this. Here you go.
That's all right. I'm going to vent later. I don't even want to get started right now.
Yeah, it's all right. I do have to admit, though, the Batman sucked. Sorry, the Batman sucked. But thank you for the $1.99 super chat. I appreciate it. But yeah, I think
if only I knew somebody who sucked that long.
I see some. Yeah, I see something today was like showed all the Superman actors and all the Batman actors. They said some of them have been in. There have been bad Superman movies, but there's never been a bad Batman. I'm like, really? You're gonna say that with a straight face with George Clooney and Robert Pattinson right there in your list of Batman? You got it right there.
I don't even think Dark Knight Rises was all that great. I thought it was kind of shitty.
Yeah. So. Yeah. But I think that's about it for new releases. I think that's all we saw. I want to say there was a keynote title I saw that was just like one of them, but I don't.
Sneakers, but I think we mentioned that before. At least we got the date
Sneakers
on that one. Yeah, I think we mentioned that. There was one called Posse today with Michael Douglas or Kirk Douglas, I think it was. But I'm not familiar with that one. There was the John Wayne ones. I don't know if we ever mentioned those. Iwo Jima and the other one are coming to 4K.
Yeah, I don't think we mentioned that one. Those ones.
What to Do When You're Dead in whatever the hell it is, Philadelphia or whatever was that one movie. Otherwise, yeah, there wasn't much else. Kino, I mean, they've been announcing them.
Yeah, but sometimes, yeah.
But it seems like they announce stuff and then it could be 3, 4, 5 months sometimes before we hear anything else.
That's true.
That's 6, 7 months because they announced like Coneheads and shit like what? Almost a year ago now. Same thing with Sneakers was like over a year ago.
Yeah, and they're finally getting them out.
But they might be at the mercy of when Universal sends them these fucking masters too. That could very well be.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I think that's about it. Oh yeah,
things to do in Denver when you're dead. I knew it was something like that. I think I remember. I've never actually seen the whole thing, or if I have, I don't remember. I just remember it being on Cinemax when I was younger, and I don't remember much about it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually seen it myself. I just know.
And the FFX box set, I don't know. I got the one from Kino already, so I don't know if there's really much else on there that I'd have to look into it. So I don't think it's a new scan or anything like that.
Yeah. You never know. They might have asked him to do a commentary, and he said no. So, or they never asked. It depends. Sometimes it's tricky with the actors and stuff and what they put together on. Like Tom knows from the turbine thing, they're at the mercy of whatever they can get and whatever they can afford. So,
Well, yeah, it's more to do with what the studio will allow, because what we were told about. So I think it's been far enough now that and the movie's out, so I think I can kind of tell this now. It's kind of basically what we had found out is like there is an extended cut of Hellraiser Judgment, and the director wanted to put it on the disc, but Lionsgate wouldn't let him. And now basically it boiled down to like because it'd have to be available for all the other territories or some shit. So I have no idea.
yeah,
And they just were all against it and shit. So it was like, okay, because otherwise he had it. He was willing to put it on there, but I don't know if it's because they have to go through some contractual shit. But like, yeah, if you'll notice, and honestly, it's funny because I didn't bring it on this week, but I noticed because I got Pretty in Pink, the 4K, and I thought I'd gotten the Blu-ray at some point, but evidently I didn't. But I have the old DVD. And it's funny because they dumped like all the special features except for like one. On the new, so even on the Blu-ray that comes with it, it's only got the one special feature and that's it. It's the newer Blu-ray. Now I looked to try and find it, and as best as I could tell, even the older Blu-ray dumped all the special features except for one. So everything that's on the Everything's Ducky edition, except for the clip about the alternate ending, is gone. So like the whole making of all the other interviews, all that shit's gone. So that's just another thing, guys. Like they don't seem to want to carry over these special features for some reason, which makes no sense because you would think 4K is more of a niche Laserdisc type market, like that was with you would think they'd want to cater to us more, but they're not.
Yeah. I mean, the sales are starting to pick up on the 4K side of things. So, and like you said, we're the type of people that go to buy them, and they're film lovers, enthusiasts more so than some. They want that they want those bonus features. They want those.
And I'll be honest with you, the biggest problem most of us have with collecting, and I know you all listening out there will agree with me, is having the space.
Yes.
And when you got to keep a fucking Blu-ray and a DVD and a new 4K just to have all the special features and shit.
Yeah.
That gets annoying.
It does. It does. It does. That's what we just talked about that with Robert Meyer Burnett. It's like, okay, so I need this Blu-ray and this DVD because as this.
Yeah, we were joking about like you got that girlfriend that's always like, do you really need 5 copies of How the Grinch Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey?
Yes, I do, because this one tells me how it was made. This one doesn't.
There's and then don't even get started on the editings and the color timings and the sound effect mixes and everything else that comes along with it. But yeah, I just thought I'd give everybody a heads up on that one. Not that I don't, and the reason I brought it's like I don't even know if people know what they're missing, because unless you had the old DVD, evidently none of the special features were carried over except for that. So like, whatever.
Insane. That's
the
insane.
4K aspect of it looks fine.
Yeah,
that looked great from what I skimmed through, but I was like, well, now I got to hang on to this old ass DVD because all the special features are on there.
Oh, that's insane. That's insane. What's up, Rick Johnson? Glad to see you, and glad to see you as well, VHS Mikey. Hello, fellow, and Tim Hayes in the chat as well. But that's insane. Yeah, that's the one thing, like, as a collector, I think, the space, it is hard. I know I don't show my collection behind me like Tom does his, but I have a wall just like his, and I also have boxes in the floor, and because there's so much.
I got more boxes on the floor now than I do.
Yeah.
Feels like.
This little area in here is my little nerd room where I keep all this stuff, and it's getting packed rather quickly, and I don't know what to do with everything. And it also sucks that, as a film enthusiast and stuff, I love the special features, and I would like to be able to say, well, now that I've upgraded to the 4K and it comes with the Blu-ray and it has all the special features that I've had from the previous releases, I can get rid of this Blu-ray. I can get rid of this DVD. I'd like to be able to do that. And I don't know why the 4K, they're not catering that way.
I mean, I guess you could turn around. In some cases, I've even done it myself where I'll just take the disc out of the one and put it in the other. If I have like a 2-disc set or whatever, I can put it in. But then you're buying another case so you can have 2 slots in your 4K. it's just, and then what if you got a steel book, and and who wants to stack discs, and I mean,
it's insane. It's tough being a physical media collector, people. It is tough. But with that being said, Tom, let's go ahead and get you to, because you got a bunch tonight. And like I told you, in my defense, I did watch something that was 6 hours. So
yeah, and I'm not even sure what you watched exactly. So I'm not even sure where to begin here. Of course, if you pay attention to my X, you kind of have some ideas of what might pop up. Let's start with this one. Let's start on one end and we'll go to the other. Because this is one I used to love as a kid. And it has Matthew Broderick and Jeffrey Jones in it.
Oh, nice.
And you would think it would be Ferris Bueller, but oh no, it's called Out on a Limb.
I remember that movie. I haven't seen that in years.
Yeah, and I totally spaced out that John C. Reilly's in it too.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of the Jims. It didn't hold up as well as I remember. Like, I remember thinking this movie was funny as fuck when I was younger.
Right.
And I was like looking forward to watching. I'm like, you know what? I haven't watched a good comedy in a tick. I mean, well, I did another one here and we'll talk about later that actually aged better, but we'll talk about this one now. And I'm just like watching. I'm like, yeah, I remember this being funnier. For some reason, it's just as a younger kid or a teenager or whatever, like I just remember it being a lot more funnier. And yeah, I did chuckle from time to time, but I also remembered a lot more than I thought I did, I guess. I was like, oh, wow, okay. And it's not even that long of a movie. It's only like 82 minutes long. So it's well paced. I mean, it serves its purpose. It's kind of a comedy of errors, kind of an old school kind of little slapstick in the face. I don't know how you even describe it. Because it has kind of it almost feels like it's grabbing from all sorts of other comedies and doing a thing.
Yeah. I vaguely remember. Like I said, it's been years, but I know this movie.
Okay, well, the plot is kind of convoluted, but interesting. It starts out with this kid. She's in school, and they're telling what you did over summer vacation. And I can't help but feel like there's a much longer edit of this film, and it probably is, even in the TV cut, I'm sure, because they had to add probably 8 minutes just to fill it out to 90 minutes. And I guess somebody because like even the poster, I guess there's a scene that's mostly missing from the movie so like it does kind of feel like you're watching the movie going, there's a bunch of movie missing here, but it doesn't really matter. Because they basically gave you the main thrust of the film, if that makes sense. Like everything that needs to be there is there. This is like one of the tightest comedies as far as like story, because so starts out this girl, she's telling her summer vacation. She starts out by going, well, I had this crazy summer vacation where my stepfather was killed and all this other kind of stuff like that. And nobody believes her at first, but she's like, no, it's really what happened. So she goes and starts telling the story, and it's about how her stepfather, who was the mayor of this little town, gets murdered by his twin brother, who was in prison, both played by Jeffrey Jones, who was in prison for a crime he didn't commit, but his twin brother did. So he tries to blackmail him for $150,000, and the other brother tries to kill him. Well, then the bad brother kills the mayor brother in the process of it all. And then in the process of all this one girl who is running from her ex-boyfriend, who's a cop, that's the part I feel like is cut from the movie, because you get that in the beginning and then it's fucking gone.
It just disappears.
That is not brought up ever again in the rest of the film. And it's like, wait a minute here. And I'm watching it this time. I'm like, there's a whole subplot that must be missing here. Because then you have that cop, but you also have the cops in this town, which are complete nincompoops. And one of them is played by another John Hughes alum who was in Home Alone and a few other of his other films. The one who plays the cop that answers the phone.
Oh, yeah.
Like, all right, we calm down, man. We'll send over, somebody to check on your son or whatever. That guy with the donut. Anyway, so he's plays a cop in this too. So like, I'm like, okay, wait a minute here. These guys cannot be the only two cops in town, but evidently they are. So it feels like there's a bunch of stuff that's missing from this movie, but it doesn't really matter when it boils down to it.
Mhm.
So basically, in the process of all this, the daughter, the girl that's telling the story, figures it out too because she overhears the phone call that initially set the whole thing in motion, and so she tries to call her brother, who's played by Matthew Broderick, to come help her, and he doesn't really believe her, but he comes anyway to try and calm her down, all while he's supposed to be bringing down this huge fucking deal. And in the process of all that, he gets wrapped up with this chick who's running from the cops who witnessed the murder, and she steals his car and his wallet and his clothes. So like it all is like, you know what I mean? It's like this comedy of errors through the whole fucking thing. And then he gets picked up by these two drunks guys, and both named Jim.
Mhm.
They're
It
brothers.
feels like there's just sort of like
There's
throwing
a lot of
everything
brothers
in.
in this movie. And that's John C. Reilly and the other guy. And
Mhm.
they're probably the highlight of the film, right? Like, because they're just these lackadaisy brothers who will help everybody, but all they are is just on a constant drunk. And so, of course, that all just kind of comes together with this whole thing, and you can kind of either guess where it goes from there, or I'll let you check it out yourself, because
Mhm.
it's still a decent little film as far as what it is. It just didn't age as well as I was hoping it would.
Right. Like I said, I've seen this movie. It's been a long. I probably haven't seen this movie since I was a kid. Since it came out on VHS. But it sounds very convoluted. You've actually sold me on it. I kind of want to watch it now, even for what it is. It just sounds like a decent, fun movie at least.
And my introduction to it was, okay, so we've talked about this before with like Tremors, and I can't remember, there was a couple other, Darkman, I think was another one.
Mm-hmm.
There was like a handful of Universal films that didn't do well at the box office in that 90, 91, 92 era,
Yeah.
where they would rush them to television on NBC.
Mhm.
And this is one of them. And I remember seeing it on TV. But again, I do think there was a longer version when I was younger as a kid that I saw on TV, that when I finally got, because I got the video, and it was one of those videos I got in that deal we had talked about before, where I had a liquidator store that had the more VHS you buy, the cheaper they were.
Yeah, the cheaper they get.
That was one of those movies I found in that mess. And then that's what I realized, because like, so I know that there is some other stuff that's missing in this version. But like, again, it's like, does this movie deserve some like massive like rediscovery or anything? No, that's my point. It's not as good as I remember. But this transfer is horrid.
Is it Mill Creek?
Yeah. No, actually, it's Universal.
Oh, it's
It's one of their
Universal.
ones where it goes straight to the movie. There's no
Oh, yeah.
menu, no trailer, no audio options, just subtitles on and off, and that's it.
Oh,
You hit
man.
menu, all it does is start the movie over again.
That's what I mean, and those discs are starting to get shoot up in prices now too, as well. In some cases, I need to check that out. Actually,
Well, they
I
did
haven't
go to
seen that
video,
yet.
Joey, but they would rush them like, okay, so like I remember seeing, I swear Tremors was on the summer of 91. Because I
Mhm.
remember seeing that on TV in summer of 91. I swear it was the same year that Ninja Turtles came out, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably
Part two.
Yeah.
Because there's certain things in that summer that happened that I remember that, that correspond. So I'm almost certain. And then this would be like the year or so after that.
Mm-hmm.
So the next summer, then they showed, this was the one, because it's whatever their flops were the year before. It's like, this movie didn't make shit at the box office. This is probably the worst of all the ones we've talked about.
Yeah.
But like, I think it barely made like $2 million at the box office or something like that.
Did this come out the same time as that one where it's like the Godfather movie with Matthew Broderick?
I think so. It was in that string. This was like 92, I think it was.
Yeah.
So it'd probably been, this is 92. So it'd have been summer of 93 this had been on probably.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even sooner than that, because it just bombed at the box office big time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my first pick. Actually,
Okay.
just watched that right before the show.
Oh, the Freshman. That's what it's called. Freshman. Yeah. Where do I want to go from that? Because I can either take a trip to the 90s, like with some of them you're talking about, or I could take a trip to a comedy to keep it in the vein of that. I think I'll go with the comedy first, and then I'll do the 90s for the second part. But okay, I watched this since we're approaching a certain weekend. I figured I'd watch Mannequin.
Oh, good one.
Yeah. From Olive Films. They're good friends at Olive Films. So it's not bad looking. It looks good, but I hadn't seen Mannequin in a very, very long time.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it a bunch of times, but I haven't seen it in a long, long time. I've had to, the Blu-ray sitting there.
That's true. I mean, I guess I hadn't seen it. I mean, I got the Blu-ray and I've seen it since, but
Yeah,
probably before that, yeah, it'd probably been about 20 years. You're right.
yeah, it's been a while. It's I mean, I don't know if you could say it. I think it holds up because I still enjoy it and I still like it. You know what I mean? So I don't
First
know.
one, yes.
Yeah, yeah. I'm probably going to watch the second one for next week. If I wouldn't have watched my one title, I would have watched both of them.
I remember disliking that one when it came out, and I was pretty lenient.
I remember the second one, so I haven't seen that way longer than this one. I just remember thinking Christy Swanson was super hot. That's really all I remember.
That's pretty much the only good thing besides
Yeah.
Hollywood.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Hollywood too. But no, like for anybody who doesn't know what Mannequin is about, it stars Kim Cattrall and Andrew McCarthy. Andrew McCarthy is a sculptor who can't keep a job. He's dating like this woman who's like, it's like an 80s woman. She's in business and everything. And he puts together a mannequin in the beginning of the movie, and it turns out it's Kim Cattrall, who's actually, like a 4,000-year-old muse type woman who from Egypt who she begged not to marry the guy that she had to marry, and then like the God sent her through time. She's been like a muse for artists and stuff. And so he gets a job at this department store that's fledgling. She comes alive at night with him, and they set up these like out, in the windows with the mannequins, and they become this big hot hit. And so like his ex-girlfriend in the department store she works for, along with James Spader, who is like crazy in this with his slick back hair, nerd, smarmy asshole attitude like he likes to play. They try to figure out what's going on, and the hilarity ensues. So, and it's got the great song, which I didn't plan on it, but I heard it in the stupid trailer for Thunderbolts, Jefferson Starships, song. I heard that, and it's got the great song in that. So, but yeah, it's a fun movie. Since the 90s. It's been a while since I've seen it. Yeah. I remember like it more than is probably normal. It's good. And Hollywood is great, which is funny. They do a lot of like jokes on that I don't think they could get away with nowadays. With Hollywood being like, they never mention that he is. So like, it's very forward thinking in that. They never mention that Hollywood is gay. It's just kind of like, yeah, he is. So he's there. They think he's a little weird, but he's there. So like they accept him, and it's that's how it is. But Kim Cattrall was great in this. Andrew McCarthy was great. I think this was like near the top of his when he was hitting it big with all the Brat Pack and all that stuff. So yeah. Oh, look at this. I am actually surprised. Void King. I've actually never heard of this film.
Really?
I cannot believe that. This is like one of the like big movies from the 80s.
Go watch the video for "And We Can Build This Thing Together, Standing Strong Forever. Nothing's gonna stop us now." And then you pretty much seen the whole movie because it's a video.
Yeah, the music video. No, it's a great little like. I'm just in the mood for something a little romantic. Not that I have that right now, but I was watching a little romantic movie. So and it's a funny movie. So well,
You are one sick puppy.
Yeah. Get him, Rambo.
Get him, Rambo.
So good.
What did you do to my dog?
Yeah. He's a prevert. He's a prevert. That's the dummy. I'm telling you, that's the
dummy. That's the dummy. If I remember right, this is the reason why he's not in Police Academy 2 and 3. One of the reasons he's not in 2 and 3.
Probably is because this was
This and Short Circuit are the reasons. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. He is one of the best parts of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Him and James Spader working together, trying to capture him, and they keep getting caught.
Kind of a younger Estelle Getty too. You got two.
Yeah.
And you got. And you also you got two future sitcom stars in it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's and then you got Kim Cattrall on top of it all as far as Sex and the City and all that business. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
this was the movie that kind of put her on the map, really.
Yeah,
because she was in Police Academy just before this, but this was her big, like, she was the star kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, because she did Porky's. It was Porky's before Police Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like she had done Porky's, and then she had
Yeah.
done Police Academy. And yeah, this was like the moment that people.
But she's like
became aware
hardly
of
in
her.
Porky. She's like a co-star in Police
Yeah, she
Academy. She's a
barely,
love
yeah.
interest, but yeah.
Yeah, this was her big. Yeah, you're right. This was her big breakout. So I mean, it's a fun little movie. If you've never seen it, Void King, which I mean, I know we act surprised that he's never seen it or heard of it, but you know,
It's got a killer
people aren't into
soundtrack.
it.
You also got that song from the chick from the Bangles in the beginning.
Oh yeah,
The Wildest
Walk
Dreams, and then
why am I saying Walk Like an Egyptian?
well, it's the
That's
same
another movie.
chick. So.
Yeah, it's the same chick. That's what. But
Yeah.
it's like
And
the
then,
Egyptian thing in the beginning.
Which is funny because I have a feeling that they tempt the movie to that track. For
I
some
feel like
weird
it was.
reason.
Because it starts out in Egypt.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it, and then they just said, "Give us something that's similar to that in the same beat."
Yeah. Oh, then it's also got Pretty Woman in it. Pretty Woman is great.
Yep,
Yeah, the
and
song-
My Girl and a bunch of
yeah,
other
My-
stuff.
Yep,
Yeah.
My Girl. So it's got a really great soundtrack. Yeah. So I mean, if you and your special someone have never seen a movie or looking for something there,
Well, what do you think? I'm fired. Pick up my last check. I get it. I'm out of here.
Yeah. You know, this time I was watching it around, I kind of felt sorry for the girl that he leaves for Kim Cattrall. I mean, I can't blame him for leaving her for Kim Cattrall, but she's really not that big of a, you know, pain as I remembered. I mean, she's a pain, but she's not like that big of a pain as I remembered her being.
She doesn't believe in him. That's why.
Yeah.
See, and this is what I was saying. Like, you know, watching shit like, I know you don't really care about it, but Section 31, right?
Yeah.
Like, one of my biggest issues with that is you have a main character who literally kills her family in the first scene.
Mm.
It's like, you can't redeem that character now.
No, you can't.
There is no redeeming it. It's like, we used to have rules in movies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like you can be a hero, you can do certain things, you can redeem yourself, but if you go to certain extremes, you're either going to die or you're going to lose or you're not going to get the girl or there's going to be some consequence, right? Like even up to like I brought my greatest example is look at like Randy Quaid in Independence Day. We all knew he was going to die.
Yeah.
We all knew it going into that movie. Why? Because there's rules. But we knew he was going to have a heroic moment at the end. That's the big difference there. Like and this character, you're right. Like, is she as bad as some characters are? No, fuck no.
No.
But by the rules of the standards at the time, she did not believe in Andrew McCarthy, so
she didn't
deserve him.
Yep, she did not support him in his endeavors in any way, shape, or form. And I mean,
that kind of goes with, it's weird because it's an Andrew McCarthy movie too, is the Pretty in Pink deal and why they changed the ending to that.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the test audience, the girls wanted to see her get Andrew McCarthy, not Ducky.
Right.
Because she could always have Ducky.
Yeah, they wanted Andrew McCarthy. That's true. And I mean, like,
and they didn't like that they made him an asshole. That's what really pissed him off.
Because that's like women dream about.
So when they reshot it, they reshot it to where he wasn't an asshole. He believed in her. It's the exact point I'm getting at. So like, yeah, it's and you got those little stupid rules in movies, and they used to morals, you know, and like things like that would used to make sense, you know. Even if you have a character who ends up like I said, coming back around, they're still going to die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the 80s and the 90s had a great thing about that, like, because you knew there are certain character arcs that needed to be followed, and you knew like the rules of the movies. Like when that happens, that's going to happen.
Well, I'm going to get into a bunch of westerns, and that's a big thing in westerns.
We can go ahead because that's like really all I have to say. I mean, like,
I mean, it's a great film. This is a movie that deserves a better treatment.
Yes. This deserves like a new 4K or Blu-ray. I would say 4K.
I'd say 4K.
Yeah, because this is all of films.
The second one don't need no 4K.
No, I'm fine with the olive Blu-ray of the second one, but
for now that's fine. Yeah,
this one needs a 4K upgrade. It is one of the quintessential classics of the 80s. I mean, if you hear that song from Starship,
it needs some special
features.
Knows. Exactly.
Yes, there's like nothing. There's nothing on this at all.
Just a little documentary, get Kim Cattrall and Andrew McCarthy back together. Shit, even GW or George W. Bailey's still alive. Yeah. He's still alive, so get them all back to James Spader, get them all back together to talk about it. The only one who's not still alive would be, I think, Estelle Getty, and I believe Meshach Taylor did pass away not too long ago.
I think I did hear he died a couple years ago.
I think he had cancer or something, sadly.
But he is hilarious in this movie.
Oh, he is the rock of the, and you're right. I love the point that you made that he is a character I like to point to. It's like in the 80s, it's like, yeah, was he flamboyant? Was he a bit stereotypical? Yeah. Absolutely. But guess what? they don't use him in that way in the movie,
No.
right? Like he's just there as another character. It could be a girl. What difference does it fucking make?
Yeah.
It might have even been in the original script.
Maybe it was, yeah. I mean, like they just the what's his name, George W. Bailey. He picks.
I
on
could
him
see
a
it being
little bit.
played by somebody like a character like that, being like Cyndi Lauper or Annie Potts or something like that. You know what I mean? Some quirky, off the wall, artsy fartsy chick.
Yes, I can see that, and I mean, and he's hilarious too because you like. Regardless of your thoughts, you're watching him, and when he starts talking about, do you think my thighs are fat? Albert says my thighs are fat.
That's the only time they kind of acknowledge.
Yeah, that's the time. I mean, like even then, by that point, you start laughing with it. You know what I mean. So it's and like at the
he's
end
in
of
a
the movie,
healthy relationship. It's like they don't even like.
Actually, no, he's not because he goes.
Well, not really, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. He's like, I'm gonna go have dinner with Albert. Even though he doesn't know, so it's like that's. I hope he lets me.
That's true.
So he's like,
That's true. I forgot about that.
But I mean, yeah, but he's a character. Like even like everybody just kind of accepts him and moves on with it. They don't like the only one that really says anything to him is George W. Bailey's character. But that's because that's his character. You know, he's the
he thinks the same thing about fucking. What's his face? Andrew McCarthy's character too.
Yeah, he thinks he thinks he's one too. But then he calls him a prevert when he sees him rolling around with the mannequin. He goes, "This one's for Rambo, and this one's for my mama." And he starts punching him. It's like what?
Nah, I love that one.
It's great. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. Yeah.
Oh, well, speaking of morals, I guess kind of bounce off there. This is one I had never seen before, but I watched this afternoon and I was actually really surprised by. It's got Henry Fonda, Dana Andrews, Anthony Quinn, and the guy who plays Potter on MASH, really young in it. It's called The Oxbow Incident. I'm trying to think of his name offhand. I just forgot it.
Yeah, I can't think of it either.
Shit. What the hell is his name? I don't think it says here on the back. Oh, Henry Morgan. Here it is. Henry Morgan. Yeah. And it's called The Oxbow Incident. And I guess it's loosely based on a true story. And it's a real simple tale. I wasn't really sure what to expect by it when I got into it. It's only 75 minutes long. Came out in 43. And it's kind of like 12 Angry Men, but in the desert, in the Old West. Yeah. And it's not okay. So the basic setup is Henry Fonda and Henry Morgan play these two guys who are just kind of wandered into town because his old girlfriend is in town there. Henry Fonda's is, but she skipped town a long time ago. So they're just kind of chilling at the bar, trying to find something to do because there's not much to do in these little podunk towns. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this ruckus starts up because this guy was supposedly murdered and his cattle stolen, and they're out to find who did it, So they got to get up a posse. And, of course, they start first kind of looking at Henry Fonda and Henry Morgan, but, they kind of quickly kind of just figure they're not the guys, but they're still trying to get the posse together. But what happens is they can't actually deputize the posse. So it's not technically a posse yet because the sheriff is gone and he won't be back for till God knows when. And so the deputy just tries to deputize everybody, which technically isn't legal.
That's true.
And it's really weird because like this movie feels like it's one of those movies you've seen a million times. So they clearly have like ripped this story off, or they've parodized it or satirized it, or done like the Christmas Carol episode in a TV show of it.
Right.
And it is very simple, but the acting is really good. It seems so ahead of its time in the way it's shot and presented. And considering they don't have the negative anymore, it actually looks really good. But anyway, that being said, that's neither here nor there. So they get out and they find these three guys. Anthony Quinn's one of them. And I think Dana Andrews was the other. And this other guy who's this older gentleman. And they've got this guy's cows. So this clearly got to be the guys, right? Mm-hmm. They did it, and even one of the guys has the dead man's gun on him. which he claimed he found at the side of the road, but doesn't matter. It's got to be him.
Yeah.
So you got this whole posse that are just ready to hang these guys. And so a few of the other people who are a little bit more level-headed are like, now, wait a minute here. You got circumstantial evidence at best, basically. You know, they say it. You know, they don't say that flat out, but they're, you know, to kind of sum it up.
Yeah.
They're like, you really ready to just hang these guys on a whim? You know, so they press and they go back and forth and they go through this whole thing. And again, it's kind of like, then it kind of turns into 12 Angry Men almost to a point. It's not exactly like that, but you get this kind of moral tug and war between these two parties of each side of the posse. Like one, they're like, no, we should just take him back to town, wait till the sheriff gets back, let the judge sort it all out. The other guys are like, no, that shit takes too fucking long. Let's just get this done and over with.
Right.
We want to go home. So yeah, I don't want to go too deep into it, but you can almost kind of guess where this, because this story has obvious moral to it. About
one side's this, one side's that,
and more so about frontier justice and jumping to conclusions, and you know what I mean. Like, so I mean, you can kind of guess where the movie ends up going, but it was really well done. It was really well. I was kind of very surprised by how good it was. I mean, I wouldn't say it was like 10 out of 10, but it was definitely up in that. It was a lot better than I expected it to be, and it was shot in a way like Jesus, this is 43. It feels more like the 50s or 60s more than it does like. It was definitely ahead of its time.
Yeah, was
it really? I can see why deleted scenes.
There
I mean, it feels like a story that you would have read in school growing up back then.
Yeah. Well, he's seen that Horizon twice.
Guys, I know. It's like everybody, even the first time you see it, you're just like, it was all right. But then you keep finding yourself going back to it, don't you? It's weird. I wish I could get somebody else to talk about it, like on one of these shows too.
I have to get it and watch it here soon.
Yeah, you might dig it. I don't know.
I've been meaning to, because you know, I like oh my god, I forgot his name. It just was like there and then it slipped right out of my head.
Kevin Costner.
Yeah, I like Kevin Costner movies here and there. I couldn't be a cowboy. I mean, I probably could, but yeah. But no, this sounds like maybe this movie was probably ahead of time. Maybe some people copied this movie further down the line, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
But the Oxbow Incident, it's called. So yeah, check it out. Kino's got it. This looks like it was from because it even says on the one thing, because they got like this thing from the old DVD where they talk about the master, how the negative's gone, and all they got left is a fine grain dupe of the negative.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't say it comes from a 4K scan on here, but it looks really good for being a second generation that print. So I got to imagine it was probably 4K scan.
Probably. This would be you, Tom, because you've been going back to old westerns. What got you back into watching them?
Oh, I love westerns. I've seen a lot of, like, I've kind of basically finally have gotten through most of the Clint Eastwood stuff over the years now, and some of the other stuff, to where John Wayne was kind of always my dad's thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked some of his films, but outside of the handful of the ones that everybody likes, I just didn't really care so much. But I don't know, all of a sudden, the last year or so, I've found myself really gearing and leaning into a lot of that stuff. And the more I learn about John Wayne, the more I've been getting into him, and the more I've been getting into his films, and just just that kind of a thing. And it's funny you bring that up, because that's what basically most of the rest of the night's going to be for me. But so that's all I have really to say about the Oxbow Incident. I wish I could say some more than that. I didn't get a chance to watch any of the special features. There's a commentary from Western scholars and a documentary about Henry Fonda, but I don't know what kind of documentary, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And then the restoration demo, like I said, but you can clearly tell it's from an old DVD.
Huh?
And that's it, really. Just other than that, just random trailers that aren't Oxbow.
I mean, you're not totally alone. There are people out in the chat that have seen it. So,
I'm not surprised. You can tell it was probably a pretty prestigious film when it like, you can tell by the production value, the way it's shot, the amount of actors in this that you'll be like, oh, I recognize him. Oh, I recognize them.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that voice. Like you through the whole movie, that's what you're like. And that's why I kept looking up shit on the IMDb. I'm just like, oh my God, that fucker's in it too. It's like,
I've been there on movies like, oh my god, I didn't know this person was in this person. I've done that before, so that's fun.
And
yeah,
Henry Fonda's really young in it, so like yeah, and so is Dana Andrews and stuff. And Anthony Quinn, holy shit, is he young?
Do you want to do another one while you're still talking once? Because I only got two left.
Sure, I
if
can
you
do
want me to
that.
do
Why
one-
not?
mine.
Let me jump off that with a more modern. Well, how should
This
I do
one,
it?
this time it's my
Let's do it
fault.
with the morals. Let's do it with the morals. Let's
Okay.
stick with this way. Because this is one we can kind of skip through quick because we've already talked about this. This is just one that
Oh, Liberty, yes.
I love. We've both talked
I
about
love
it.
this
This
movie.
4K is
It's
a
one of
great
my
scan.
favorites.
If you haven't seen this film, do yourself a favor. It's one of not only John Wayne's best, but James Stewart's best.
Mhm.
And I mean, I hate to even tell the plot because it seems so simple, but then, you know, once you give away the twist, everybody knows what's going on with it. So, but the movie isn't about that really so much because it's in the title, even though it's just the relationship between these two guys and some of the other people around them.
Yeah.
And kind of the backstory that led up to and around it all. And it's a really well done movie. We've talked about it before, so
Yeah.
I don't think we need to dwell on it too much, but it also has a nice moralistic kind of.
Yeah. It has a great
flavor
line
to
about when the legend becomes fact.
Yep.
Print the legend or whatever. Great line. What's funny about this
Yep.
is, since you bring this up, is like I was just talking to my dad, and my dad brought this up because it's one of his favorites. One of my favorites is we were just talking one day, and he's like, "Do you remember those steaks from Liberty Valance? That son of a bitch was like this big." He said, "He picks
know.
that up, slams
I
it
want to
down
go
on that
eat at
plate."
that place every time they go into the. Like, look at that food. That looks good.
Slams it on that plate, puts it on the guy's table,
And you know she's cooking that in pure butter and lard and shit. You're like, oh.
and it just steak is like this fat in that movie. It's just like, oh, I would eat that steak.
It's like the sheriff. Oh, I haven't really had much to eat today.
Oh, it is such a good movie. It is such a good movie.
I could go for some of those flapjacks and
I would say
trying to remember the name of the chick. What's her name?
oh yeah.
Because she's really good in it too. Vera Miles. Vera Miles.
Oh yeah.
And of course, Lee Marvin is, the man in the title.
Liberty Valance.
Yeah, great film.
I would say James Stewart's pretty much the
James Stewart's more of the lead in this one, but he even gets top billing. Honestly, I think at the time, even he was probably the bigger of the two actors, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think
Because John Wayne, you guys got to remember, John Wayne was more or less like a Schwarzenegger Stallone back then. Like that's how he was viewed. It wasn't until he started doing like True Grit and The Shootist when he finally kind of got a little bit more respect. And then by then it was a little too late, only for them to turn right back around and try to smear him again years later.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true. Do you know what 6 says the twist
well,
of Liberty?
6.
Well. Oh, but I love Liberty. It's one of my favorite John Wayne movies. Me and my dad talked about that to this day. Which is funny that you did bring it up because like literally like a couple of days ago I was talking to him.
It's probably his most popular movie where he's technically not the star. You're right. To be honest with you.
Yeah, he's not. I think maybe I would like to look. I wonder if this like was his big star making. I mean, I know he was already a star at that point, but like you said,
I think this was just one of those things where you get like Robert De Niro and Sylvester Stallone together to make a movie.
sort of like that. Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's kind of what I think it was more so, or Al Pacino and Schwarzenegger or something. You know what I mean? It'd been like that. And
I do like he brings him back for The Shootist, which you brought on. It's like sort of comes full circle by The Shootist. So, this is a good movie. All right, well, where do I want to go from there? Because I don't have Westerns, but you know what? Since I was going to do the 90s thing, but I do have a new movie. And speaking of like somebody who's like in the vein of like Stallone or Bruce Willis type of guy, I actually watched a brand new movie. I watched Werewolves starring Frank Grillo, if I can get that clear. This was a fun.
So this is that new one.
Yeah, the new one. This was a fun movie. It's cheesy.
Check it out.
It's campy. Is it stupid? Yes. but it's fucking fun as hell. It's one of those, it's all the werewolves are actual practical effects. They're all werewolf, suits and stuff. It's just a fun movie, It's just like I said, it's a cheesy, campy, like little action sort of. It's not really scary, but it's just a fun movie. So basically, and it's got Lou Diamond Phillips in it as well. So basically, the plot of the movie is a year ago, a supermoon happened, and people turned into werewolves. And now it's a year later, and another supermoon's coming back up, and Lou Diamond Phillips runs this lab where they're trying to come up with something. They call it moon. What's it called? Moonshade. I think it's called Moonshade, where like they can, because if it doesn't matter who you are, if the moonlight from the supermoon touches your skin, you become a werewolf immediately. It's so they explain it as it's some kind of like thing within your DNA from like when we were formed or whatever. There's some kind of like parasitic thing in everybody's body. But like Lou Diamond Phillips' lab is trying to come up with this thing where, you put it, drop it in your eyes and spray it on your skin. And that way you won't turn into a werewolf. And Frank Grillo is a guy who's former military. He lives with his sister-in-law and his niece because his brother had passed on. So I feel like Frank Grillo has this like appeal, like he's a mix between Bruce Willis and Sylvester Stallone a little bit, like with a pinch of Sylvester Stallone, because he's got that everyman feel to him, which was I relate him to Bruce Willis, but he can kick ass like Stallone. But anyways, he's like former military. He's fixed up his sister-in-law's and his niece's house so the werewolves can't get in, and so they're safe because he has to go help with Lou Diamond Phillips with what they're doing. And they have a crazy neighbor who's like a big, Marine nut guy who plans on killing all types of werewolves. And so he goes there. They have these people in cages. They're testing out this thing on them. They open up this roof. The supermoon's out. The moonlight hits them and they don't change. And then about an hour later, but not an hour later in the film, but time goes quick. They immediately start turning. Like it does. It only lasts an hour. So like they all start turning into werewolves, and all hell breaks loose. And so he's got to get out of there and get to his house, back to his sister-in-law's house, because the guy next door turned into a werewolf as well. So he's got to fight his way out of those werewolves and then get to his house to save his sister-in-law and his niece. And it's just a fun, like it's like an 80s movies mixed with an early 2000s action flick. It's just fun. It's insane. It's practical effects. The only real CGI is like when they transform, of course, that's all they have. But the werewolves looks neat, great werewolves design. And they have like this whole like little world set up with where, with these werewolves is like, if the moonlight touches your skin, you get it. And he's just like kicking ass to get to his family to save them. And like the werewolves hunting packs and everything. You just got to see it. It's one of those just like, I didn't think I would like it too much, but I did. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I bought it because it was just a fun movie. And it's only like an hour and 34 minutes. Not very long, it's one of them old school. I just felt like I was watching a good cheesy creature feature that's like a B movie. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere yet. 6. I think it just came out.
It is on video on demand. Who owns it? As far as like who released it?
Let's see who put this out. Universal. It's a Briar Cliff.
So it should be on Peacock here. If it's not already, it should be pretty soon. Then I would think. Yeah, it's been on streaming now for a couple of weeks. I want to say.
Yeah, it's actually hard to get the Blu-ray. I found that out because the DVDs you can find they must have made more DVDs than they did Blu-rays of this. I mean, I know it wasn't a big hit at the box office.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I think the Blu-ray's hard to find, and if I was you, if you could get it, I'd buy it. Because I don't think there's going to be a lot of Blu-rays of this. I got mine for like $22, which was cheap, which was a little more than I wanted to pay for, but I'm glad I paid for it. Mm-hmm. Because I was going through them and I'm like, what pissed me off is because not that it relates to this is like I saw Juror 2, number 2, and it's just Blu-ray and it's like $32, and I'm like, fuck that, I ain't paying $32 for that.
About that.
And then I was going to buy Saturday Night, and that was almost $30, $25 to $30, and I'm like, fuck. So I just bought Werewolves. So that's what happens. But no, the Wolfman wishes that he was this movie. Fuck that, whatever that new Wolfman movie was. This is a werewolf movie. This is down and out, gritty. I will say the only one big complaint I have about this movie is the guy used too many lens flares. I thought, I was like, come on, this ain't J.J. Abrams shit. There's a little too many lens flares here and there. It's like, dial that back a bit and it's cool. Because he's actually using lighting. Like I showed you that video about, we talked, about wide films on the film. He's actually using shadows because like the werewolves are practical. So like he shades them. He keeps them in the dark and shows enough of them when he needs to show of them. And like he actually has lighting in a movie. Even though it's clearly a digital shot, it's just like pull back on the lens flares a little bit, please. That was my biggest problem with the movie. Other than that, it's just a fun, cheesy, campy B movie. That's really what it is. It's like one of the most cool creature features, just with some modern technology, But yeah, I thought I'd bring that in since you brought up like the Stallone, like with comparisons with John Wayne and everything, because Frank Grillo has a bit of a Stallone and Bruce Willis, because he has this like everyman Bruce Willis type feel to him, and then he's got like the muscles and stuff and like kick-assery like Stallone. So anyways, but yeah, if you've never seen Werewolves, I do recommend it. Like I said, I want to get that point across where it's cheesy, campy. It's not like this is not an Oscar movie. This is not a movie where you're going to go into it and go, well, that makes perfect sense. No, this is a movie where you go, that makes no fucking sense, but I absolutely loved it. You know what I mean? That's what it's going to be. So, yeah, there you guys have it. That was that one. Yeah, I figured it's on disc. It should be out on streaming. I'll never buy it still VOD.
I don't even know if you got Peacock, but that's where I imagine it'll drop first.
I figured it would be there. It's funny. Everybody's doing the Universal Monster stuff better than the Universal Monster people.
Well, that's technically Universal released it, but I know the same thing with Nosferatu they released as well.
Yeah, so. That's what I'm saying. Like Robert Eggers and the division of Universal that he's making movies for, making better Universal Monster movies than Blumhouse, which has somehow got that.
And I've been thinking about this because I had talked about this with Andre. I think maybe even brought it up with you already, but I think we may do a video on it sometime. But I've been trying to think of a way to kind of explain it. But the way you got to emulate these and do this is like basically how the legendary Godzilla franchise has done this shit. Mm-hmm. You just got to amp up all the things that remind you of Godzilla, right? Yeah. So in this case, I mean, what makes the Universal Monsters Universal Monsters? Well, that's the green-skinned Bolt, wearing fucking flat-headed Frankenstein monster. It's the Wolfman that looks like Teen Wolf. It's the the Gill Man. It's the way that he normally looks. It's Dracula looking all suave and debonair like fucking Bela Lugosi. Those are the things that make the Universal Monsters the Universal Monsters. Lean into that shit.
Yes, and lean into, because I know we don't see them as now, but when those movies were made, they were seen as legitimately scary. They were legitimately scary and fun. Yes, like with werewolves here, it's not really a scary movie. It's more like an action movie with werewolves, but there are moments of like scares, like I would say plays into like the whole, like with the moon and the werewolves and the shadows behind you and everything and stuff like that. So like they do try to add in a little bit of horror, but like they do better. Like you talk about, like they're having fun with the werewolf legend, with the werewolf things, and like that's what we want to see. And I know you called me a furry before when I said, but I prefer the bipedal werewolves, where they walk where they're actually like wolf men or wolf people, where they stand on two legs, they have arms and hands. They're not like dogs running around.
Right.
So I prefer that. And I prefer the practical effects. And each like werewolf has their own like personality. Like when somebody changes into a werewolf, you still know it's that person. You know what I mean? They did a great job of like giving the werewolves a personality.
Well, basically, they should announce like we're doing redoing the Universal Monsters, and then they should look just like they did in Monster Squad, basically. Mm-hmm. Like more realistic versions of the old school Universal horror monsters, basically. The Mummy, the Dracula, the Wolfman, all that stuff. Like lean into the, and not only that, I don't even understand this because it's a huge franchise for them. Because they still continue to produce, the Bela Lugosi Dracula stuff And same thing with Frankenstein monster and all that business. So it's like, don't tell me they're not popular.
Exactly. I think the problem is they gave them to Blumhouse. Blumhouse is not the type of people to be making the Universal monsters. You should be giving them to people like Eggers. So,
What's weird is even looking at all the stuff they always present, the only one it feels like they don't have the likeness rights for is Bela Lugosi. Have you ever noticed that? Like their Dracula always looks very generic, but there's no mistaking. See what I mean here?
Yeah.
Like there's no mistaking who that Frankenstein is, or who the Bride of Frankenstein is, or who the Wolfman is.
Yep. That image right there is on 2 Universal Monster cups I have, on a glass cup and a plastic cup that in my collection I have. That one right there. Yeah. And Bela Lugosi does not look like Bela Lugosi.
And none of it in the beer ads, none of it
Nothing.
ever. So I think
Yeah.
somebody must own his likeness rights, or he must have something.
Or his
with
family's estate just ain't playing ball or something.
This ain't, because it's funny. Yeah, lean into that shit. I don't get it.
You know, Eggers has a chance to do the funniest thing ever. And I think I would love to see him do it. Ryan Gosling was originally cast as the Wolfman. He dropped out. I think we all know why he dropped out. I mean, he has the chance. Eggers has the funniest chance to do a thing ever, but I don't know if he would fit into Eggers' English because it's in that era. But that would be like a coup. That's what I'm saying. It's like I can't remember who said it. It's like the other branches of Universal are doing the Universal Monster movies better than the branch they're given the Universal Monsters movies to. So, and no, I do not have hope for the next one they have coming out. I
think that thing's DOA or whatever it is.
Yeah. Stop giving them to the guy that made the Invisible Man and Wolfman. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it.
I mean, seriously, if that's not the most obvious thing in front of your fucking face, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's because, and that's the thing I brought up about it is like, because Monster Squad's a great example, because believe it or not, that's a 25% different version of each one of those characters because they were trying to avoid getting sued by Universal.
Yeah.
Back then, everybody was trying to make them look like those versions without getting sued.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like Universal's like, they couldn't go near him with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's like, this is what they are.
Exactly.
Like, this is what makes your versions unique. Lean into that. Make that what they are. I mean, sure, you can do whatever you want with the story, modernize it. I don't give a shit. That ain't the point. But just make them look like that, and you can build whatever story universe you want around them. Shit, I've even talked about how you basically make them like the Avengers, right? You've got Dracula, you've got Wolfman, you've got all these characters. Like some of them are tragic villains or tragic, in the way that they're, like the Wolfman's technically like a good guy in a way, right?
Yeah. He's because it becomes him versus Dracula by the end of the series. So like
the Frankenstein monster's circumstance, right?
Yeah.
So again, you have like a group of them you can have on one side that are fighting for man with Van Helsing, and then you have the other side which is made up of like Dracula and the Gill Man and the Mummy, who are trying to like take over the world. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like how hard is that? I mean, and you have Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in the middle.
Yes. I mean, it works because like, I don't understand how it gets it. Because like, even with they have the blueprint with the Universal Monsters right from the get-go. You have the Wolfman, who's this tragic figure who is generally a good guy. He just so happens to turn into a monster he's been cursed. And then you have Dracula.
Could just control him somehow.
If we could just control him. And then you have Dracula, who's pure evil. He's Satan incarnate. He's pure evil, but he's just this, and they're trying to control the Frankenstein monster, who is this new, like he's this, they've created life, and whoever has the power of life is God, right? So you have the story right there, and then you have Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, because he can play both sides, because Dr. Jekyll's
the Gill Man I can see is just like a gopher for the Mummy and for Dracula. The Mummy and Dracula can fight over who's going to be the powerful one. Yeah. Right?
I mean, like whoever harnesses Frankenstein monster has the power of life becomes a god. And do you really want the devil did Dracula to become God? That's right there. That's a story. I think that could be a story. But hey, what do I know? Let's make the Invisible Man. He wears a suit. Let's make the Wolfman a fly movie.
Yeah. Right.
It's like,
I
come
want to
on.
see him. It's like, motherfucker, why don't you just remake The Fly?
Exactly. That's what he made. What's up,
Yeah.
home cinema enthusiasts? Glad to see you.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I think you would maybe like Werewolves, Tom.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
I had fun with it. It's just like I said, it's a cheesy, campy. It feels like an early 2000s type movie mixed with a little bit of an 80s or like a little bit of 80s action type flick. So yeah, that's what I liked. It was fun. But hey, what can you do? Go ahead. So let's go to you. What do you got for us?
All right, where should I go next here? Let's see here. All right, how about I do these two here and two together? So, all right, so I had some more John Wayne movies here. Starting off, we'll talk about a little bit about Big Jake.
All right.
So Big Jake is about Big Jake. He's been away from his family for 9 years, and when his grandson is kidnapped and his estranged wife sends a letter off that they need him now, he shows up to kick some ass.
Yeah.
What more do you need to know?
It's a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. And
That's
then
one with his real son and Robert Mitchum's son playing his sons, right?
Yep. And I think even the younger kid who plays his grandson is his son too. So 2 of his sons, I think, are in the movie, if I'm not mistaken.
What are you doing here, Daddy?
You can call me father, you can call me dad, you can call me Jake, but if you call me daddy one more time,
He does it. I'm not gonna hit you. The hell I ain't.
the hell I ain't.
Oh yeah, we did not this week. We did not mention this week, but I figured those would not stay on there.
Really?
They're sold out. Imagine that. I figured they would be out.
That.
I figured they would be, but yes, Big Jake is a great movie. Dog. He's got his dog with him. Dog.
Dog.
Yes, that's a good one. I mean, that movie does break down to a really good the fight and everything with the guy with the machete and the guns and it. I mean, it breaks down to a really good climax of a film.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good. And this one has I was gonna say, who's the bad guy in it? It's
Is that? Let me remember. Let me see.
Unless it's not one of the more famous ones.
Richard Boone.
Yeah, not one I was thinking of. But no, yeah, it's got Maureen O'Hara also as his wife. Of course, got regulars like in it. Of course, it's a good film.
Yeah, it's
no
good.
special features on this one. It looks really good for as old a Blu-ray as it is too. It makes me wonder if they didn't do this one in 4K at the time.
Who put it out?
Paramount.
Paramount. They might have.
Because one of the next ones I talk about, I will know is in 4K actually, but that's just because I have the digital version.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know that was her last role in Big Jake until Only the Lonely. I didn't know that. She does great in this movie.
Yeah. No, I like this one. And then the other one I got here, I might even like a little bit more. I don't know. It's the second time. Or no, not the second time. Or is it like the second time him and Robert Mitchum had worked together? So I think they worked together before, didn't they?
They did. It's not El Dorado. Is it El Dorado?
Well, that's what I got here.
Yeah, El Dorado.
Yeah. So basically this has got him and young James Caan. That was what I was trying to think of.
This is almost like a remake of Rio Bravo.
Yep. Not really exact, but
it's very similar, but different.
It has some similarities to it, but not many. If anything, I would say I might even actually like this more than, to be honest with you, because this one is he's hanging out with James Caan, and he gets word that his buddy who's a sheriff. Okay, because it starts out, I'm trying to remember now, because it was this one I watched last week. So it starts out, he was supposed to be hired, I think, for a job. Is that this one? And the one cop tells him not to do it. and because that's when it's Robert Mitchum when he's still not
Sober.
drunk, he's sober. Yep.
Yeah.
Tells him not to do it. Yep, that's it. That's right. Yep. Now I remember.
This one where
It's
you
been
get
like a week.
shot in the back, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then so he doesn't do it, and then a couple of years later, a year later, however long later, he gets word that they're going to try and kill him. The old sheriff, played by Robert Mitchum, he finds out that they're coming after him. So he, of course, comes to town with James Caan, and Robert Mitchum's a drunken mess because of the girl that he fell in love with and all that shit. And no, it's a really good movie. It's just about whipping him back into shape, and I'm trying to remember most of it now. It's been a week since I watched it because I've watched so many of these movies, as you'll see here. Start to kind of blend some of them together, especially when they got a lot of the same actors and shit in them.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
I think I'm in agreement with you. I do think I like El Dorado a little more than Rio Bravo. So,
which is the one that had the other guy from The Godfather, not James Caan, Tom Hagen. I'm trying to remember the actor's name.
Oh, with the Tom Hagen, you say?
Yeah, the actor that plays him. The lawyer. God damn it.
Oh, Robert Duvall.
Robert Duvall. Which one is it that's Robert Duvall's in with John Wayne?
Oh.
I thought that was Big Jake, but maybe not.
No, that's I know which one you're thinking of, but it's like it's escaping me at the moment.
So I remember because when I got to
True Grit. He's in True Grit.
Oh well, that's next.
Yeah.
So I guess.
Yeah, thank you guys.
I could just finish off, so you only got one left.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did watch True Grit because I was like, I know I got two of them here with Godfather actors in it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I just rewatched this one just because it's been a while. And I do have this in 4K on streaming, but it doesn't look the greatest, so it must be an older scan. But I think this is from the same exact scan, so I think it basically does technically have a 4K master for the basis. Because I mean, it looks good for an old Blu-ray,
right?
And I mean, I love the movie. It's a great fucking movie. I mean, what can you say about True Grit?
Classic.
That hasn't been said already. I mean, Kim Darby's probably the worst part of the movie, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, she somewhat feels like you understand why they cast her, but she still feels a little miscast at the end, especially when you see the remake and how good
Haley Steinfeld
is in that. Because I mean, I don't think this is better than the original, but it's a great counterpart to it. Because my understanding is this is not a remake of the movie; it's based on the book, straight up, like
more of the book,
more straight adaptation, which kind of shows you how true to the book this movie really was, and kind of in hindsight as well. Because there's only a few differences, really.
I think the biggest is they aged her up. This was like the biggest difference.
A little bit, and then the other thing is, I think that LaBeef gets beefed up in in John Wayne's version, as opposed to this one. He disappears for a while before he shows back up near the end again.
Yeah.
So like that's the only big real main difference. Otherwise,
yeah,
because when they do get those guys at the cabin, he's not with them in this version in the remake, but he's with them in the original.
Yeah,
'cause he's the one that guns them down on the roof, and they have the whole thing with his tongue and everything else in the remake that I'm sure is from the book.
Yeah. I know. I think the original version is better, but I do like the 2010 version.
It's tough because like the 2010 version is obviously closer to the book, more realistic. Right? It almost feels like that's the true story that the John Wayne version is like the movie of. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what it feels like. It's really tough to kind of like, because it's such a damn good remake.
It is, and it's funny. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's funny because like they have the Duke and the Dude, and then John Wayne wears his eye patch on the right eye, and then what's his name wears his eye patch on the left eye, and like you said, it's so much more into the book, and they keep it a little more realistic and stuff. But then like John Wayne's movies, like the movie version, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So so they're both really good. The only real problem I have with the new one is his mush mouth.
And I kind of don't mind it. Like it is kind of it's a character choice that I'm like at
Yeah.
first it was kind of jarring compared to the John Wayne, but it's like I get it. Like I've come to kind of like it. I mean, it's different enough. It's its own version, and he's a different kind of Rooster Cogburn.
Yeah.
The other one.
It's a good movie. I do like it, yes. And then
Again, it feels like that's the real Rooster Cogburn.
yeah.
And the John Wayne version is the Hollywood,
the
glamorized version.
Yeah. I did not know Olivia Hussey was supposed to be in. She turned it down because she didn't want to work.
Oh God, she'd have been so much better.
Yeah, she would have been better, a lot better.
I mean, I don't know who else I would have at that time because I don't know too many other actresses that would have fit the age. I mean, she's fine. It's just she's not in the same league as everybody else around her.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Even Glenn Campbell's kind of acting circles around her. And what was funny is, didn't she get nominated for an Oscar for this too? I think.
Did she? I thought Glenn Campbell did, didn't he?
I don't remember. I think this guy had a lot of Oscar nominations.
Or Steven. And
Yeah,
you know
well,
all
yeah,
that.
Steven.
Who
For
got
some reason,
nominated
it
for
sticks
Oscar
in my
for
head
that.
that she did.
John Wayne did. I know that, right? For True Grit, he got nominated.
Yes, that's the one he won for, I believe.
Yeah, I knew that because that's why they went and did Rooster Cogburn, and it wasn't.
Speaking of,
there you go.
and I don't hate this movie. The problem that this movie has is that it's following True Grit.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. Because really, what this feels like is like John Wayne said, you know, that Two Mules for Sister Sarah movie did really well for Clint. Why don't we do one of those with Rooster?
Yeah.
That's really what it feels like to a point.
It also to me, it always felt like they did The Fugitive, you know how they did The Fugitive with Harrison Ford, and then they did a sequel with just the Tommy Lee Jones character.
Yeah, but this
That's
would
what
be
it
like
kind of feels like.
But this would have been like if they had done a sequel with Harrison Ford, only there would be a reason
like that
for him
but
to be in action again. But
yeah.
No, actually, I don't mind it because it almost plays more into the fact that he's old. I kind of like how it's not a bad story.
No, it's not.
I mean, is it anywhere near True Grit? Fuck no. But it kind of leaves you with this like, yeah, that's just your pretty good Western for John Wayne. It's a kind of a comedy. It takes it more in the comedy range a little bit more. Not totally, but a little bit more with the relationship. And I mean, they do have chemistry, him and Katharine Hepburn, clearly. I mean, I wouldn't say I could see them bump and grind, but I mean, they have this like, you could tell she's a woman that it would have to be a pretty tough woman.
To go with the Duke
to crack him. and she is kind of like Maddie, only an adult, you know, like in a way. So it kind of works. And it just, no, I thought it was fine. Nothing wrong with it. I think it gets a bad rep overall. But yeah, that's my next to last one. I got one more after this.
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and you burned through them pretty quick, actually.
I mean, we can talk a little bit more about them if you want. I mean,
I haven't seen Rooster Cogburn in a while, but I've seen True Grit.
Well, the plot is that it starts out, you know, he's basically doing his Rooster Cogburn thing, and he gets his badge stripped from him. So it's like, you know, your typical cop movie. You're too much of a liability. Like, you take this badge and shove it, Judge. No, he doesn't say it like that. But,
Yeah.
But then these bad hombres hijack a nitroglycerin shipment that they're going to use to I think rob a bank, if I remember right. And one of the guys that's with them actually used to work with Big Jake, so they bring him out of retirement to go after the gang. And in the process of this, gang comes upon this reserve where there's this preacher and his daughter who have a bunch of Indians there that they're converting to Christianity. And so the bandits can pretty much kill almost all of them, except for Katharine Hepburn and a boy and a few others. So then John Wayne is not far behind him, of course, because he's on their trail. And he ends up taking her, Katharine Hepburn, and one of the boys with him. And you know, they just have their little journey chasing down these bad guys. And of course, it's just the three of them against these guys because the posse that he was promised never shows up. You know, so
Yeah.
no, it's a fun
it's
movie
cool.
overall. I mean, and the bad guys are well casted, and I mean, it's a pretty decent film.
Yeah.
You get the guy from the store in True Grit plays a different role in this, which is kind of funny.
That's cool.
Yeah. You know, the one who's like, we're not trading again,
Yeah,
are we?
yeah.
They take his boat in this one.
Yeah.
You're not taking my boat. I guess you are, because he pulls the gun out.
Yeah.
Don't you wreck my boat.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, there's some good movies. They're good. They're good.
And I love him because he's the dad in Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke.
Mm.
He's one of the, you get a goddamn job before sundown, or we're shipping you off to military school with that goddamn Finkelstein shit, kid, son of a bitch. I can get you a job picking bananas or something.
I remember that.
Win, boy, win. I just love it.
That's good.
That goddamn Finkelstein shit, kid. Son of a bitch.
But Steven said no, just John Wayne and best song for the Oscars.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, the Rhinestone Cowboy. He's in True Grit. Glenn Campbell.
He doesn't even sing a song in it.
No, he actually was just an actor.
And actually, I'll be honest with you, the song that got nominated was kind of weak.
Yeah.
The True Grit song is not very good.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm kind of disappointed that they never used the Burt Bacharach's written song for this movie. Did you ever hear that story?
No, I've never heard it. But
There is a song. Have you ever heard the song?
Yeah,
It was supposed to go with the movie.
I've heard the song. The man who shot Liberty Valance.
Boom,
He
who
shot
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard the song.
Burt Bacharach wrote it for the movie.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the guy who sang it, but yeah, at the last minute, he let him know, oh, yeah, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I just assumed.
They're not going to put it with the movie because it gives away the ending.
Well, that's good. Yeah, that's true. I just assumed it was based off of the
And
movie,
then they wouldn't
you
let
know?
him bring it out until after the movie came out. So like the song didn't come out till like May or whatever. The movie came out in April or whatever. Yeah.
That sucks.
Even though they have, I mean, people have always kind of connected the two, and they are connected technically, but the studio nixed it because they're like, no, we can't have that because it tells the whole fucking movie the song.
That's crazy. Oh, well, I just assumed that it was like based off of the movie. So I
No,
never-
because and then that's what I was like, well, wait a minute here, because that's what kind of started me down that road, because I know it's not based on a true story.
Mhm.
And I just always assumed that the song was part of the movie. And
Right.
then I'm like, I've seen the movie now a couple times. I'm like, wait, it's not in there. And Price of Reason, the guy who's on Midnight's Edge After Dark with me, we were on a karaoke stream, and he's singing a song, and I'm like, I can't believe, is that's not in the movie or whatever? And we got to talking about it, and he explained part of the thing, and I looked it up, and he's right. So what happened was Burt Bacharach wrote it, and I can't remember the singer, but yeah, he let the singer know, like, yeah, song's not in the movie, by the way. Even though, and the proof is in the pudding, because the studio denies any connection, which is stupid. It's like, well, then why don't you sue them for writing a song that rips off your fucking movie with the literal title of your fucking movie in it? Like, if it was a true story, they couldn't do shit, right? Like, just it is what it is. There's nothing you can do. No, it is what it and Burt Bacharach said, yeah, the proof is in the pudding, because basically they paid for the session.
Yeah.
To record the song.
They paid for it. It was like, no, we didn't. No.
It was because the movie came out, and they said they can't release the song until after the movie. So, yeah.
That's funny. That's funny.
But I think it would have benefited both, to be honest. You put it at the end titles, and you just don't release the soundtrack till the month after the movie comes out or whatever.
Yeah,
That's what
they
you should have done.
Yeah, they should have did that. Like Six says, just when I think it's safe to listen to the stream at work.
Oh, I'm sorry, Six. I had to throw a few F words in there. I'm sorry.
It happens. Sometimes you gotta let it rip.
All right, I'm done for now. I got a few
All right.
other John Wayne movies, but they're not coming till later. I think they're on their way.
Well,
One's been held up for a while.
Did you get
And
it
I'm
from
waiting for those
Amazon?
Kino Lorber ones. What?
Did you get it from Amazon?
Surprisingly, yes.
And it's held up. Imagine that.
Yeah. I think it's Chisholm or whatever one it was. I don't remember.
Oh yeah, it's Chisholm. I know that one.
Or no, Hondo. I've been wanting to see Hondo.
Oh yeah.
Peg Hondo's on.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is the reason why I did not get more watch this week than I was planning on, because this suckered me in when I was watching it and I hadn't seen it. And I watched In Search of Darkness, 1990 to 1994. It's a 6-hour documentary about 1990 to 94 horror movies. So yeah, I finally got it in the mail. And then it comes with the booklet on the inside and everything. So I finally got it in the mail and I watched it, and it's good. I liked it. I was much more into 80s horror movies, but there was some great 90s horror movies that I really liked, and it's really delves. As far as like these documentaries go that the creator VC keeps making, because this is the longest one, this probably delves more into the movies than the previous documentaries. You know what I mean? They give a little more time for the movies to breathe, and it covers a lot more than just like the theatrical movies. It goes over the TV movies, which were mostly Stephen King movies. Like most of the horror TV movies were Stephen King movies. Like The Stand, they cover The Stand, they cover It, they cover Sometimes They Come Back, and then they also do cover like horror on TV, like with Tales from the Crypt, The X-Files, Buffy, Are You Afraid of the Dark, and Goosebumps. Like they go over like all the various Tales. Speaking of which you posted earlier, which is funny, is they cover Tales from the Crypt Keeper, the cartoon. Because and they did talk to the guy. He was like, what I was doing with that show is he was basically molding the kids to watch that, so when they grew up, they found out that Tales from the Crypt was actually a HBO show with horror, blood, and boobs. So that's he basically was grooming the kids, he said, with the Tales from the Crypt Keeper cartoon. So, but yeah, it was pretty good. It was Mike Flanagan is in this, who is did Dr. Sleep and all them. He was really great to listen to. Frank Henenlotter, who did Basket Case, which they cover Basket Case 2 and 3, and also they cover Frankenhooker. He was great to listen to. He was really cool to listen to. And how he talks about why he did Basket Case 2. He's like, I didn't want to just make Basket Case 1 again. So it's like what I decided to do was I wanted to make a movie where they're all freaks. So basically that's what he's talking about. So it covers that. I did do a review of this, and it talks about Tremors. It talks to Michael Gross about Tremors. And just him about it. So they cover that. There's like so many movies. Like it was hard to boil this down to like just a small review to make a video on this, because there's so much stuff they cover in this movie. No, but if you like, I don't think you can actually get this anymore on Blu-ray at the moment. I know they're having a sale to the 18th if you missed this on Blu-ray, but I think it's all sold out right now. So your next chance probably won't be able to get this till next October when they release 1995 to 1999. So that'll probably be your next chance to get this Blu-ray if you haven't got it. Which I'll probably have coverage on that once that starts. No, but like this was, like I said, I was planning on getting more in, but I got suckered into this. It's 6 hours long. I would say though, the things I really didn't care for in this was like what's the guy that plays Bill from Bill and Ted? What's his name again?
Alex Winter.
Alex Winters, David Dastmalchian, and the guy that runs Fangoria. Fuck them guys. They're like, every movie they talk about, they got to make it about politics.
Oh yeah, Alex Winters way welcome.
Yeah, them three guys were like the guy that runs Fangoria, Alex Winters, and David Dastmalchian. It was like every movie they talked about.
No wonder you're blocked by them.
Yeah.
I can't believe they haven't blocked me yet.
I don't know. I've never done nothing to Fangoria. I mean, they're not like bad, but like sometimes it's like, okay, I get it. You're a lefty. I get it. Can we talk about the movie a little bit? But other than that was like my only real. It's like it doesn't really delve too political or anything into this. It just talks about like the 80s, their 90s, how it was a time for change for horror movies and stuff like that. What's it? Adam Marcus is in it too. So our good friend Adam Marcus, he gets to finally talk a little bit about Jason Goes to Hell. So if you're looking forward to his documentary, you know, you get to hear a little bit of his thoughts before his documentary comes out. So, and he actually does have a great line in this documentary here where he says, yeah, you can tell a movie with a message, but don't forget you have to entertain your audience. So he has a great line, and like I couldn't agree with more of that because some, like I said, like Bill Winter, Alex Winters, and them would talk a little bit about that. Like, yeah, you can tell a movie with a message in it, but the number one rule is you have to entertain your audience. You can't just send the message out forefront, and that's what it's all about. So I dug that line from him. But no, it's a really great documentary. If you're into 90s horror, especially from 90, because once past 96, we all know what happened with horror.
Yeah,
Scream.
evidently I did not see it.
Oh, you've not seen it?
Or I didn't buy it.
Oh, you didn't buy it?
I thought I did, but evidently I did not.
Well, you guys are listed in the credits.
We didn't get a copy.
I did. No, I bought mine. I bought it.
Yeah, I was
didn't
going
get
to say,
it.
so
I bought it.
I don't even
But-
remember. Yeah. Andre's
you
like
guys-
kind of meh with those guys. So.
Yeah. I think you guys are listed in credits. Well, Andre's name is.
One of the guys
we were
that
sharing the trailer.
then the one guy that we used to have as our main contact, he ain't there anymore anyway.
Yeah, he's not there anymore.
But no, I mean, I got their Alien one. I thought I ordered this one, but evidently I didn't.
I was gonna say, I think it's sold out right now because they're
Looks
having
like
a
it.
flash sale.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll have to wait and get it some other time, I guess.
yeah. Like I said, probably next October because that's when
Yeah.
they're going to do for the part 2. And like I said, like I would say 1994 was probably the last time horror was like sort of horror because
Yeah, New Nightmare was kind of one of the last good.
yeah, they talked with New Nightmare, which was great. I love it.
That's
And,
kind of where things kind of shifted from there. Because
yeah.
when Scream happens, that's
yeah, when Scream happens, everybody tries to
when
copy
shit
Scream,
changed.
and then after that, it's all like.
I mean,
ghost
if that
stories
last
and
half of the
stuff.
90s isn't about that mostly, then I don't know what the fuck they're
Yeah.
doing.
Pretty much,
I mean, 'cause it's like the Scream effect took over.
yeah.
And it wasn't until H2O and Bride of Chucky kind of broke that. And even those were influenced by that. See, that's the problem. But then it kind of changed a little bit again. But it still infected things for a long time.
Yeah, it did. But no, I mean, it's great listening to hearing about Basket Case, Dead Alive, Brain Dead. In other words, it was great hearing about New Nightmare, Freddy's Dead, Jason Goes to Hell. Of course, we do have. They talk about Child's Play 2 and 3. We talk about them because they talk about how like the horror, like those guys in Leatherface. They talk about Leatherface.
Yeah,
was
there was some good
hanging
years there
on
in the
a
early
bit.
part, but like you said, like it fell off pretty quick. It felt like it was almost like it's almost like you felt the death of the slasher film.
Mhm.
But and I can't blame Scream completely on it.
Yeah,
Right? Like, yes, Scream had a big influence on the future of horror, but that didn't make New Nightmare fail.
no.
I mean, there for some reason, New Nightmare should have made twice as much or 3 times as much money as it did, and it just did not.
That's true.
And Jason Goes to Hell did it horribly.
Mhm.
The last Chucky movie did not do well, as in 3 at that time.
Yeah.
All the other ones were going straight to video was coming along, right? Like, so
Yes.
that was kind of more of the era of like I remember Full Moon was kind of on the
Yes.
rise then.
They talk
You
a
had a
lot
lot
about
of these like horror movies that were going more straight to video sequels and stuff. So that was kind of that heyday.
Yep.
So like we were eating good on video, but as far as going to see movies in theaters,
Yeah.
few and far between.
They talk. Yep. They talk about it because they talk to Charles Band. They talk about the subspecies movies. They talk about Meridian and the Puppet Masters 2.
I was gonna
and
say you have to bring up
3.
Puppet Master, yeah.
Yeah, they bring that. They talk to Charles Band about all those, and they do talk about how, horror went into the straight to video market, and they talk about how studios are afraid of horror. So like it's like what's in a name. So like some horror movies were actually being called thrillers, like Silence of the Lambs and stuff like that. And they would talk about how like bigger name celebrities got into the horror, like with Bram Stoker's Dracula, Silence of the Lambs, and then Frankenstein with Robert De Niro. And, they talk about how that went down that path as well. So yeah, it's really interesting to listen to some of this. It was fun. It was fun time, And there was something I was going to bring up, and then I forgot it. It slipped my mind about it.
Sorry if I caused that.
No, because you mentioned it, and then it slipped my head when I was going to say it. New Nightmare. It's a New Nightmare.
Mhm.
Heather Langenkamp jokingly in it, she blames Pulp Fiction for why New Nightmare.
Oh, they did open up the same week,
yes.
didn't they?
She said, when we were making this movie, we all thought this was going to be our big career. Like, we were going to become big, huge stars after this movie. She's like, this was a movie because everybody was behind it. It was great. And then Pulp Fiction opened. And she jokingly says, I blame Quentin Tarantino for why it didn't succeed. So yes, they were up against Pulp Fiction. That's why they didn't succeed at the box office. And they do bring up like Leatherface, because we talk about the movie we have on Blu-ray is not the actual Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. It's because and will we ever get the actual cut of that movie that is it was intended? They said Bob Shea, what happened was, like, the director wanted to make it in the same vein as the original movie, and he wanted to make it dirty and gritty, but he was going to make it a little more bloody and everything. So, like, a lot of the stuff they shot has never been seen, because they said Bob Shea showed it to the overseas people, and the overseas people said that we can't sell this movie overseas. And then they said he supposedly came into the editing room and just started cutting up the negative, just cutting it up, cutting out shit. And that's why we don't have the actual full cut of Texas Chainsaw Massacre Leatherface Part 3. So will we ever get it? I think the one that Warner Archive released is probably the closest we'll ever get to it, because that one actually has a couple scenes that was cut out that's been put back in, but it's still not the full movie. But yeah, that's what took up a little bit of my time this week. Is I planned on having more than 3 movies, but then I watched that and it was 6 hours long and it suckered me in. And for me to find 6 hours out of my day is actually pretty hard. So, but I didn't like watch it continuously. I took breaks. You know what I mean? So, but that was it. That's all I had. And so sadly, if they're all sold out now, you have to wait till next October.
I wouldn't panic. I was going to say they've generally resold them again. So
yeah, typically what they do is in October is, because that's their big month, is they resell all the 80s documentaries and they'll resell probably the Aliens and The Thing and probably that. And then they close it down till the next October with whatever movie whatever they're going to do next. So yeah. But that's about it, guys. So if you guys out there listening, any 90s movies you guys liked growing up that you don't think gets any love, I love Trancers. And matter of fact, if you're a Trancers fan, which I'm a huge Trancers fan, they on the Full Moon streaming app, they have the noir version, which is it's just black and white. It's Trancers in black and white. So if you guys want to check that out, that's there. PCU is a great movie, but it's not a horror movie from the 90s. But PCU is a great movie and actually kind of predictive of where our future was going with people and their the politics and protesting and everything. It's actually kind of predictive. Who would have thought? Yes, but no, like 2-hour movies. And what do? I look back 5 hours. Yeah. it's 6 hours, man. It's like, but I did do a review of this in Search of Darkness. If you guys haven't watched it, check out my review. I didn't really have any problems with it. It doesn't get that too political in it, other than those 3 I mentioned. They get a little, but it doesn't disturb the movie or anything. But Mike Flanagan was really cool to listen to. Mike Flanagan was pretty, he's a modern day horror guy himself. He's made a bit of a name for him, but he was really cool to listen to. Yes, Cube is a movie that needs a Blu-ray. It only has a DVD and has never been released on Blu-ray ever, and it desperately needs a Blu-ray. That is a good movie. Once again, a Canadian movie. It's a Canadian movie. So, but yeah, that's all I have, guys. So that's it for me. I see you, Tom. I see you.
Yeah, I got one left.
Oh, go ahead.
And of course, this has the team of Paul Hogan and Linda Kozlowski in it.
Oh.
And it was not a hit. It's not quite Crocodile
I was going to
Dundee,
say Almost Angel.
but it was almost an angel.
I almost thought it was the Western he did.
I have a whole nother story for that movie at a different time.
Okay.
I don't even have that movie, to be honest with you, because I don't think that's even been released on Blu-ray ever.
I got the VHS.
I'd say, has it even been released on DVD?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but I just have the VHS of it.
I don't think it has. But anyway, it's funny. I'll get into that story another time. But no, this is a mostly forgotten film from 1990 that reteamed the Crocodile Dundee duo. Along with Elias Cotes, however you say his name.
Yeah.
A cameo from Charlton Heston as God.
Yes.
And yeah, it's a great film. Actually, I don't know why it gets such a bad rap. It's actually pretty funny. There was a lot of moments where I laughed a lot more than I remember when I was younger. Because it's been quite a few years since I've seen this. But Olive Films put this out. Believe it or not, back in 2015, it looks like.
Good old Olive.
So. Yeah, well, I'm sure it'll get re-released here some point, but, you know, I saw it on sale or whatever you call it on the Blu-ray.com thing. I'm like, oh, I better grab that one. I don't have that one.
Yeah, I think some of them Olive Films have been coming up for sale for a little bit because they're out of print, you know?
I think so.
So I'd buy them when you got a chance.
Well, on the other side of this, my guess is like I'll turn around, I got this now, it'll end up getting re-released.
Yeah, after Crocodile Dundee comes out, they'll release that on 4K or something.
Yeah. I mean, there might be one or two things they turn around and edit out of this. Who knows?
Yeah. Probably. But no, I remember liking this movie as a kid. It's like he dies and he comes back as a guardian angel to...
Well, okay.
Is it?
Okay, so what it's about is he's in prison in the beginning, and he's really good at cracking like security systems and really good with electronics.
Mm-hmm.
And so he finally gets out after about a 5-year stint, and he commits a rob because he's trying to like come up with something to do that's not as hard as, you know, his old kind of line of work. And he gets the idea to rob banks. And not only does he, because he's like, and he starts dressing up in these weird outfits. Like the first one he does is Willie Nelson. And he looks like Willie fucking Nelson.
I haven't seen this movie in years.
It's so much that the security guys are like convinced it's Willie Nelson, and there's this great bit. And David Alan Grier is one of the main detectives. The security guys are going on, and they're like, you guys really don't think Willie Nelson robbed the bank, do you? Well, who else would you have been? Like, did you hear his last album? Because there's this whole bit about his last album not being as good, and the other one's like, well, I liked it, but it's good if you like love songs. So it's like they keep going on and on and on, and then like the cops finally like, wait, you guys really don't think Willie Nelson did this, do you? Like,
nice.
So yeah, I mean, this movie's got some really great bits in it, and you can tell why Paul Hogan was such a popular and really, I mean, he was a really good writer as far as like comedy skits and bits. And it's probably to the detriment of Crocodile Dundee 3. If you guys remember when I brought those on here before to talk a little croc, like that's the problem with part 3 is it does feel like a collection of skits and a pilot for a TV show that never happened kind of crammed together.
Right.
And a lot of those skits are like, well, it's hard to believe that Mick Dundee, after all these years, is that naive.
Yes.
He's been around in different things and stuff. You can't have, it's a hard time for us to believe that he's going to have that kind of a problem at a drive-thru. But that's a great bit. If you come up with a different character, maybe, or if you had that in the first film, right? Like, see, that's the problem is they revert him in the third film, and that's a problem. But if you watch the movies, you can kind of tell it just feels like a bunch of collected skits with a little story spattered in between them all.
Probably like leftover ideals he had that he never used in other ones or something.
Right. Like I said, it feels like it's almost like he was setting up like a backdoor pilot for a TV show that never happened, like Crocodile Dundee, PI or something like that.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Lightning Jack does have a DVD release, snapper case, non-anamorphic.
Wow, that's old. Old. That definitely needs an upgrade. I'll tell you that story after the show, but if that ever comes on, I'll share that maybe with the audience. It's a weird story, but anyhow, no. And so like he gets out of jail, and as he's committing these crimes, he ends up getting hit by a car at one point, and he thinks he died. And he thinks he's an angel. Well, almost. He's on probation. He's bulletproof, but he can't fly yet. And that's because of what he's trying to attempt to do one of his robberies. This time is Rod Stewart. Some other guys actually show up to rob the bank, and they try to shoot him, and so he thinks the bullets went through him when actually the head guy of that group put in blanks.
Oh.
So because he knew he'd be hot-headed. So like, yeah, so he's basically set on this thing where he thinks he's, basically immortal and is an angel, and he sets out to do good deeds because he starts reading the Bible
Mm-hmm.
and starts talking to a few people about trying to get an idea of what he's supposed to do as a angel of mercy. And eventually it leads him to this situation at a bar where he runs into this guy who's in a wheelchair who's being a dickhole to everybody. And so he ends up being a dickhole to him, which kind of leads them to them two becoming friends. And then he ends up giving him a place to stay for the night where his sister lives, who ends up being played by Linda Kozlowski, who they, of course, have kind of a little thing eventually. And you kind of see from there where it's going. And the two of them, her brother, who's in the wheelchair, and her run this rec center for kids. And of course, Mick Dundee starts helping. Mick Dundee, Paul Hogan starts helping there, and so it's like, it kind of sets up this whole idea, and it works. It's a really well done little movie. It has a really positive message. I mean, it really has a very positive religious message. I mean, if anything, I'm surprised more religious people didn't get behind this movie back when it came out. But no, it's a fun film. It's probably tame compared to the Crocodile Dundee. It is geared a little bit more tamer in that respect. I mean, there's not even remotely much for excessive violence or TNA or anything like that, or it's even more tame than Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan.
Jesus Christ. Now I'm going, where the fuck am I getting that from? Paul Hogan's other films, like the Crocodile Dundee ones and stuff. But
yeah,
and Lightning Jack for that matter.
Yeah, I always remember the guy on the critic was basically Paul Hogan.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he did. I think he was like. I do wish he did more films, but most of the films he chose after Dundee just didn't like.
This and Lightning Jack did not help.
Yeah, and then he did Flipper, but he wasn't really.
Yeah, that was more of a work for hire. We just got a guy with a name. And then he did make a few more movies in Australia. In fact, one of my more favorite ones he did after that, I'm surprised it hasn't been talked about more and hasn't gotten him canceled yet, and it's called Strange Bedfellows. Now, you may have never heard of that, but you've seen the American remake probably.
Mm-hmm.
It's called We Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Adam Sandler movie. Yeah, It's the same movie. It's the exact same movie. It's just the other one's Australian and they're older. That's it.
Yeah.
Because it's about two firemen. They didn't even change that part of it. They're still firemen. And to get their benefits and get their insurance, they pretend to be gay and get married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard of the name Strange Bedfellows, but I did not know Chuck and Larry was a remake of it, basically.
I don't even know if they credit it, but it's like, it's so on the nose. It's like they had to have bought the rights to it or something because it's the same fucking movie.
Yeah.
They're even, like I said, they don't even change that they're firemen.
Maybe they just thought they'd get away with it. Nobody know.
Nah, I think it may have been. I have to check and see. Maybe it's credited somewhere in some way through the writers. Like, I'd have to look.
Maybe, yeah. But I forgot that he actually isn't dead. I have not seen Almost an Angel in years.
He's not dead, but he's not in the best of shape.
Yeah.
Because I actually did some research because him and his wife actually got divorced only a few years back here.
I knew they did.
Yeah. It just kind of looks shitty for her because he went and got sick afterwards.
Yeah.
But I guess he got this what was it? Some kind of cancer, and I can't remember what it is. Or if it wasn't cancer, it was something else. I can't remember if he was like misdiagnosed or something, but ended up whatever the treatment was that made him better ended up like depleting him of all of his body fat. So he had like no body fat, and he was like almost unrecognizable for a while. I guess he's gained some weight back, so he's starting to look a little bit better, but he's in his 80s for fuck's sake. And you gotta remember, he was already in his 30s and shit when he did the Crocodile Dundee movies. Like, he's probably in his early 40s here in Almost an Angel by now.
Yeah.
So I mean, you guys got to remember how old this guy is. I mean, by the time he did Crocodile Dundee, that's the other thing. He had already kind of established himself in Australia, right? Like that's the whole thing. Is he was already kind of a star there. I think he had somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think he had like a TV show or something like that.
Random Brad said they used to watch his TV show.
Yeah, and it was kind of like, and I think that's where even some of these characters came from initially. Like maybe even Crocodile Dundee for that matter. But like I've never seen the show, but that's my understanding. Is and he also had a popular line of commercials, I believe, too, as well. And I think that here in the U.S. he did. I think that's where we first started seeing him, if I remember right. Is he had some beer commercial deal. And then all of a sudden Crocodile Dundee came out, and believe it or not, in the year that like Top Gun and a bunch of other shit like that came out, Crocodile Dundee is the highest grossing film of 1986.
Yeah, it was huge. Huge. I remember
worldwide.
that.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like that's the thing. It was a huge film. It had already been the highest grossing film in Australia when it came here in the UK, and it did just so well that year. It was crazy.
Yeah. I remember, I was little, but no, I remember learning about it later on, and how
it was such a big deal that I remember when it came out on video, they were already promoting the fucking sequel on the VHS. It was like next summer, Crocodile Dundee returns. It's like already, Jesus. Well, and it's because I think the movie first came out in '85 in Australia, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
See, yeah, there you go. He was already even older than we thought. Yeah, I was gonna say he was quite old. Because, I mean, even in the thing I read about him and his wife, like, that was kind of one of the things is, you know, once the thrill was gone, the honeymoon phase was over and all that business, they tried having a kid. And when that kind of wasn't keeping their marriage together, you know, basically, like, you know, they realized they have nothing in common and they have this huge age gap.
Yeah.
Because he was like 10, 15, 20 years old.
Wait, yeah. And then once you know, now that he was 47, and then she was probably in her well,
and he already had another family
30s,
that
maybe?
he ended up divorcing his prior wife and marrying her after.
Yeah. Well, once he saw her ass in that thong, it was all good after that.
That divorce cost him almost $7 million, though.
All that money he made from being one of the biggest movies of ever is just like gone.
Well, I'm sure he's doing all right.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
that first movie made so good. The second movie, holy shit.
Yeah.
People forget how big the second movie was even. It didn't do as well, but it's funny because that one didn't age as well. Because I remember that one being really good at the time when it came out, and then now I watched it here a couple years back when we were talking about them. I brought it on, and I'm like, it just wasn't as good as I remember. It's just more of a straightforward action movie. It's not as funny. It doesn't have the same charm. I mean, I'm glad they didn't just repeat the first movie, but it's like, okay, so this is just like a straight, like more of a Clint Eastwood movie than it is a Crocodile Dundee movie.
Maybe, you know, he just felt like he needed to go that direction. I actually haven't seen either one of them in a long time. I was thinking about
the first one is more of the straightforward comedy where it's him in the city. And the second one, the comedy's more front loaded. And then once they leave the city again, because all the stuff at the front end feels like it's like picks right up where the first movie left off.
Right.
And then once they get back to the Outback, it becomes more of a straightforward action film. And even the bad guy was even more comic book. And I mean that in the most cheesiest of terms in the 80s, right? At that time. And I'm like, God, I remember liking this so much better as a kid than I do now. In some ways, I almost kind of like some things about the third film more. I know that's sacrilegious, but at least the third film feels like it's getting back to the comedy, if that makes sense.
I guess. I mean, I've seen them all three and everything. I got them. I just haven't watched them in years. And
the second one was the big action film. Like I think they spent like 2-3 times as much on the movie too.
Well, you know, the sequels have to be bigger, better, badder, bolder. So
well, yeah, I mean, it's all about being a big action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, get the like she said, get the double pack. There's the turd.
I think it has its moments. I don't hate it as much as most people do. I understand, right? And I totally agree. There are moments where you're like, this is dumb. There's no way Mick Dundee would not know how to use a fucking drive-through.
Yeah, by that point.
Come on. And there's some other bits where, like, unfortunately, that's what they feel like. They just feel like they're bits, right? They feel like completely disconnected from the rest of the movie, or even leftover jokes from the first movie, like you were kind of saying. Like they just never made it into the movie and they just reused them here.
Yeah. But I mean, hey, if you can get your hands on them, I would, because like we said, we still don't know in the US if it's going to be edited for us, but Random Brad's in Australia.
Yeah, because I have a feeling we're not going to even hear about it till next year here, because next year is the anniversary for the US.
Yeah.
This year is the anniversary for the UK, or for Australia. So that's probably why it's all happening this year for them. But again, they may give us both versions. We don't know.
If they do, I mean, that's fine. I still think that would be a smart thing to do, because that way you can give the choices. But to edit it in the first place is just so dumb. Yeah, like I posted that comment that I got on my video I did about it from somebody who's from that community that they're trying not to offend, and they're like, "This is just fucking stupid."
But it's a funny joke with a great payoff. I mean, honestly, first of all, okay, if you really watch the scenes in context, like, and I think we talked about this already last week, but it's like he's naive. He's not doing it to be a jerk, and plus that guy was tricking him the whole fucking time.
Yeah,
the first guy. The second guy, it's just more of that's the joke. That's the setup. Is okay. Now that's how he's going to test this guy, and he's like, wait a minute here.
Yeah, he's like,
this guy's not a Sheila. Yeah, yeah. I did the test, and that guy liked it.
Yeah, I just like they don't get the point of comedy anymore.
And I swear that he must show back up in part 2 or something like that, because I know there's another payoff again with that character for some reason. If somebody remind me if I'm wrong, but like I swear there's a payoff again with that same character, the older one. It might be in the second film. That's why, because that's the problem with the second film, is it came out so close, and when I was a kid, they were on both of them were on all the fucking time. And that beginning of the second film, like I said, feels like it was filmed at the same time as the first movie. But then once you get to the other parts, that's what feels like all of a sudden, we're like, it almost feels like that other stuff was meant for the end of the first film and they didn't use it and they just tacked it on. You know what I mean? It just feels weird. It's something about it. But like where he's fishing, like that's the bit. It's like, this feels like it should almost be in the first movie.
Yeah. I wonder, like, I wonder if maybe some of that is in the first movie.
Well,
in Australia at least, because I know it's a different cut.
Well, no, what I mean is like, because like it could have been something at the end of the film, but you already have the setup. Like they just didn't film it and they just reuse it, or they did and they just reshots, because you actually have the cop going, we've already told you, Mick, you got to quit doing this.
Yeah.
Because he keeps using the dynamite or the M80s or whatever to blow up the fish. Yeah. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, that could have been an interesting movie, Crocodile Dundee meets Beverly Hills Cop. That could have been
that would have been funny.
That would have been good. Random Brad says it reminds him of
I don't know if the tone would have meshed well though.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe. I mean, especially after the second film, because like, I mean, I guess if you take that the second film's tone more so, I guess,
yeah.
But that's what I was saying, because like the beginning of the film feels almost like a completely different tone from the rest of the film.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was probably the best fish out of the water movie from the 80s. Yeah.
No, but this is don't sleep on this one if you haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah.
It's better than people give it credit for.
I remember liking it as a kid, but then once again, that's another one I have not seen in years.
That it has a very good pro-Christian, element to it too, as far as that goes.
Is it, which you don't get a lot of anymore, and nowadays hardly.
No, and it's not meant to be preachy, right? Like it's obviously not. But it's the kind of movie that something like I just forgot their name, Angel Studios would make now. It's that kind of movie. They wouldn't even be this heavy-handed,
right? I mean, once again, it was made for entertainment. It had a message, but it wasn't pushing the message. It was making entertainment with the like we talked about earlier. So I haven't seen that. I always like that one in it always makes me think of what's that one?
Are you thinking of the Steve Martin one? Because it does me too, if that's what you're thinking of.
No, not Steve Martin one, but now I will be thinking about that one.
Leap of Faith, that's the one I was thinking.
Leap of Faith. Oh no, I remember that movie. Yeah. No, it's with the other one with the kid where he drag racing and he dies and the Mulligan guy is like he gets on a train and he's supposed to go to heaven, but he goes back in time.
Oh, the Heavenly Kid or whatever.
Yeah, the Heavenly Kid. That's what it is. The Heavenly Kid. Almost
Kind of, but
the
the Heavenly Kid it's one of those movies that did not age well because I think I brought that on here. Didn't I bring that on here a while back?
I don't. Maybe I don't
think
remember.
I did. If not, I've seen it not in more recent years, and I'm like, oh god. Now I understand why everybody trashed this movie when it came out. It is not a very good movie. It's basically like Heaven Can Wait meets whatever, it's so on the nose and so schmaltzy and so melodramatic and so like.
And it's his son, and he didn't know.
And it's cute movie for like at the time if it was like a TV Disney movie, but it's not.
Yeah, that's what it always felt like to me because I saw it on TV first. So
it's not though. That's the sad part. So like you have to judge it in that respect. And I watched it not too long ago because it did come out on Blu-ray.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. I think Kino or somebody like that did it, obviously. And it was just like, oh man. No, Free Jack.
I haven't seen Free Jack in years.
You did basically explain Free Jack almost.
So that movie still
That's when I'm surprised hasn't gotten a 4K yet. I think I got that on Blu-ray though. I might have it on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Do I? I know I used to have the DVD.
Mick Jagger and Emilio Estevez.
Oh God, have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen it. I haven't seen it in years. Doesn't he he's in a race, he gets hit and he goes to the future?
Well, what it is like, right? Okay, so like if you die, there's certain people that they'll come and get you. Holy shit, I hope I have this because
I have not seen it. I've seen it, but I have not seen it.
You don't even want to know what the price is on it. Holy shit. $169. Wow.
Hey, it's a little less than Meteor Man.
Is that the bar we're setting now?
It was $199 a Meteor Man. So.
Yeah, that's true. It ain't no Meteor Man.
Yeah, it ain't no Meteor. I don't look like I'll be buying Free Jack anytime soon.
It won't let me log in right now. Blu-ray.com's being a bitch. Oh, there we go. Finally. Oh, I hate that when it does that. All right, let me see. Do I have this movie? I swear I do.
I do not, because I've not seen it in years. I remember I didn't like it too well, but I've
always dug it.
Yeah.
It was when I remember having on VHS, DVD, so I swear I must have it.
I would more than likely like it now more than anything with the stuff.
Yes, I got it. Thank God.
It's like, yes.
No, that's one of those guilty pleasure movies. Like I can understand people who don't like it. But it's one of those guilty pleasures. So the plot is, so if you die, they come and get you, and then they bring you into the future.
Yeah, that's what I never understood is how you got to the future.
They just come and get you at the moment you die. So they zap you out like Scotty.
Yeah. Now he's in the future with Mick Jagger and everything. Oh, I bet it would be
not to be confused with Free Willy. Totally different movie.
Not Free Willy. No. Oh, I guarantee I would like Free Jack a lot better now than when I was younger.
Probably.
I guarantee.
Because now you'll watch it with pure cheesiness. Like, that's what it. It's one of those movies that if I remember it right, it would probably make a really good double
TV
feature
series?
with like Demolition Man.
Oh,
No, I mean like a double feature like with Demolition Man. It probably would make a good TV series.
It probably would. But yeah, like Demolition Man or what was that other one? Or Virtuosity or something. Something similar like that. Man, Free Jack. Now I wish I could have had it. I bet it was an Olive release, wasn't it?
No, I think it was a Warner or Warner Archive, one of the two. I think. I want to say.
I'm gonna look it up.
I just closed it. Let me look here. Or maybe it's Sony. Actually, now that I think about it, it is Sony because I can see now from the side. Yeah, it's Sony.
Let's see. Yeah.
It'll probably get a fucking 4K eventually here.
I'm surprised Kino or somebody like that have not put
That's what I was thinking. It's been, this came out in 2018 and it's already out of print. Wow.
Dang.
So it might already come from a fucking 4K scan for all we know. Because Sony's been doing them for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have not seen that movie in years. Years, man. Now I kind of want to. Now you kind of got me wanting to see Free Jack and Almost an Angel and that Matthew Broderick one you brought on. I haven't seen none of
Well, the
those.
Matthew
in years.
Broderick one is probably the least of the bunch. Like Almost an Angel aged very well. Like I was
Mhm.
surprised at how well that did. And I mean, I can kind of understand at the time it came out how some people were probably like, "Oh, this is just schmaltzy
Yeah.
bullshit."
Yeah.
But now it rings differently, very differently. Problem
Mhm.
with Out on a Limb is I can see why it played so well when I was younger. It's very like Three Stooges, you know what I mean? Like, not so much
Yeah.
the slapstick physical comedy aspect of it, but the zip, zoom, zam all over the place kind of
Yeah.
thing. You know what I mean? Like in the quick dialogue and some of the jokes and how they're set up. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Ah, poor Paul Hogan, man.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I guess that'll be it for the night, unless you got anything else you want to say. Because
No, that was all I had. It was a lot of movies, but a lot of them are throughout the week. So sorry I didn't remember some of the John Wayne ones better than I did there. I know I wanted to talk
that's okay.
more about some of them, but it's just been that long. And Big
I've
Jake
seen-
was one I've been wanting to get to for a while, and I'm glad I've picked up El Dorado.
Yeah, I've seen most of the ones John Wayne's you brought on tonight. I've seen multiple times,
Yeah.
so I was still pretty familiar with all what happened in those. So
Yeah, and Rooster Cogburn, like I said, is a better film than I think he gets credit for. I'm surprised Kino or somebody hasn't picked that one up for a 4K.
yeah,
Like
'cause
I can't see Universal giving a shit or who puts it out? Paramount. No, it is Universal. Well, that's weird because that's a completely different company than who did True Grit. But okay, evidently weirdness, but they just must have bought the character. That's all, or whatever. So yeah. Anyhow, so yeah, like I'm just still either way. I'm surprised like Kino hasn't done it as like a 4K
yeah, I'm
yet.
surprised, yeah.
So, I mean,
And,
yeah, it's not more beloved, but it is well known enough.
hmm And I would have had, honestly, I would have had more because there was some I was wanting to get to, especially with the one we talked a little bit about last week that I was going to bring on. But the documentary I got caught up watching it, and man, the 90s, you forget, man, like the one best thing about those documentaries, like when I watched the 80s and 90s, it's just like you forget how good we had it. You really do forget how good we had
Yeah.
it.
Well, and I get that every time I watch some of these older films. Yeah.
Exactly. That's why I love, like when you bring on those movies like that, and we talk like somebody brings up Free Jack. I think about, yeah, now I want to watch those movies, but I ain't paying $200 for Free Jack.
Dude, I don't blame you.
So,
It's probably on a streamer somewheres.
and yes, spoiler alert, this will be next Wednesday.
Some people have been getting it early, I heard.
Mine's coming tomorrow.
Now here's the weird thing. Mine, they charged me for it at Walmart. I thought I got an email that it was shipped, but then when I went to the website, it's still sitting there and says it's in preparation.
I got mine from Groove, actually, and
I
they
didn't
emailed-
get. How the fuck did you get your? Oh, you walked the
I didn't-
regular one. You didn't get
Yeah,
the
I didn't get the
Steelbook.
Steelbook. I just got
Because
the-
that was what pissed me off. Because Groove, I love. They're like my favorite. Where I can get it from them because they're quick and
yes,
painless. Motherfuckers are great, and they don't
Yes.
even charge you usually if you're. They have like a set amount, like 30 or 35 or whatever for free shipping. But if you're usually pre-ordering movies, they don't charge you shipping and handling.
yeah,
on
I
most
got
of
free
them.
shipping. Yeah,
Yeah, so depending on what it is, I'm sure. But like anytime I pre-ordered just a movie from them, I never have had to pay shipping. So they're real good about that. Love
They-
Groove. If you were curious what they are, they're Universal and Warner Brothers main. They're like direct.
yeah, the
Seller.
direct. Yeah, I pre-ordered the standard from Groove, and they emailed me yesterday and said your package is on schedule to be
Oh,
delivered
you should be getting
early.
it then, because
Yeah.
everybody's been getting
It
the
is
standard
tomorrow.
editions.
It
They
said
haven't
I
been
will
getting
get
I
it
haven't seen any
tomorrow.
steelbooks out there yet.
Yeah,
That's what I got because I got lucky and grabbed one from Walmart because I couldn't find them anywhere. And if they went up on Groove, they must have sold out like. Because I was watching it the day.
Mhm.
All day fucking long. I'm like waiting and waiting and waiting. And it finally bopped up on there. And I'm like, okay, so when's it going to be ready for sale? Nothing. Never once. So when it did, it must have just went boom and everybody
Yeah.
bought them now.
Must have went quick, huh?
And I'm afraid Walmart's going to turn around and cancel mine. So I'm hoping that they ain't fucking with me.
Well, I'm excited because I have not seen it, and I will have it tomorrow. And what do you do if you're a single person on Valentine's Day? I'm gonna be sitting watching Nosferatu. That's what I'm gonna do. As
Oh, I
as
hope
long
you
as the
like it.
kids are asleep, I'm gonna be sitting watching this road too because I ain't got no bitches. So that's what else am I gonna do? Yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
well,
uh,
hopefully you enjoy it.
yeah, I think I will. I'm pretty sure I will. So I'm excited. But thank you, Tom, as always, for hanging with me. Hopefully, we'll have the new people, a new guy next week that will join us, and we'll go from there. And thank you to everybody in the chat and everybody at home watching. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for hanging with us. And actually, I don't. That's like I'm sorry, Six. I actually don't call women that. That was like the first time I said that. I don't know why it popped in my head.
He usually apologizes for the fucking ending of the show.
Yeah, I usually do. So I typically I'm
a
not
bad
much of a
influence
cusser.
on him.
I'm really not much of a cusser, but sometimes when I am around Tom, I do say bad words. I typically try not to cuss because I'm around kids all
I'm a
day.
bad influence.
You have an 8-year-old and a 9-year-old, and they will repeat whatever you say.
Once you get a teenager, you'll understand why. Because I used to be the same way when Jeffrey was younger, and then all of a sudden, once he became a teenager, it was like all that shit went out the window.
You can't. They'll repeat immediately.
Especially once you're not your kid, but once your teenager starts saying like "fuck you, dad," then shit goes out the door. It's like, oh, we're gonna talk like adults now. All right, listen here, motherfucker.
All right. Well, I do have
I
to.
apologize for the language, but yes, that's what happens when they get to that point. Greg, you will understand.
I
apologize for Greg.
Yes.
Taking that name and saying it like that, it's my fault.
You can shred me. I apologize. It's probably why I'm single.
I'll still take half the blame at least.
It's probably why I'm single, for real. But anyways, you guys have a good night. I appreciate you all. Thank you, Don. Thank you, everybody. And as always, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. But hey, one more time.
How you doing? Bitches leave.